than good time. Tattoos of memories and dead skin on trial. For what it's worth, it was worth all the
I woke up, it was 7. I waited till 11 just to figure out that no one would call. I think I've got a lot of friends, but I don't hear from them. What's another night all alone when you're spending every day on your own? And here it goes. I'm just a kid and life is a nightmare. I'm just a kid, I know that it's not fair. Nobody cares 'cause I'm alone and the world is having more fun than me tonight. And maybe when the night is dead, I'll crawl into my bed. I'm staring at these four walls again. I'll try to think about the last time I had a good time. Everyone's got somewhere to go, and they're
Hello and welcome everyone to the Risen Draft League Fall 2024. I am Banana Man, joined here by True, and we're going to be casting our preseason matches tonight. True, how are you doing today?
I'm tired. I woke up extremely early today, but I am still excited to finally be casting Draft League here with you. So, a bit of both, I guess.
Yeah, it is a Friday, but week's almost over. We get to just relax now, watch some fun League of Legends here. So tonight we will be watching the games between UwU United and Throws of Passion. Here. So for lineup here on UwU United, we have in the top lane Whittle Guifer, Jungle BB Ham Q. In the mid lane, we have Elena, UwU. And then for the bot lane, it's False and Stonewall. And then on the other side, for Throws of Passion, we have Sakura Kai, top, Kryptonic Killer, jungle, Bestie Sin, mid, Fafnir, and Want Marriage bot lane.
Yeah, I was made aware that Sakura Kai has also been called Sakura Kaki, as far as I as far as I've heard. Very interesting name, but it happens.
Yep. So it looks like draft is starting now, but as reminder to everyone here, we are doing what I believe was referred to at least as True Fearless, but with no bans. So what we're going to see is, teams can pick, any champion that they want. There are no bans, but in the future matches, in the future games for that match, no team is allowed to pick a champion picked earlier for a best of 3 series.
Yeah. So let's say that you lock something like Kha'Zix in for jungle, then Kha'Zix is taken off the board for both teams in all following games. So as far as draft goes, though, it looks like UwU have elected to just blind their top. They lock in Ornn, something that's very consistent. It also scales very well as a frontliner. It has, honestly, Ornn is a champion that can be very annoying to deal with in lane because, he just builds tank stats, but he has a lot of damage like locked within his kit, locked behind that brittle passive. Obviously, you have team fight presence with that as well. So top, they actually respond with something that's kind of their bread and butter for top lane already, because Sakura Kai really likes to play champions that are, bruiser, melee fighter, like the like Set, Sion, Gnar is another pick. So both of these, nothing too surprising so far as draft goes. It's interesting to see top lane just be locked in instantly, but not too surprising as far as the picks are concerned.
Yeah, and it is really interesting because we just had 14.19 drop with a lot of changes, mostly to items, where we can see a lot of shift in power. And I'll be honest, I haven't played much League since the new patch, so I don't really know what to think about the meta elsewhere. But I've heard tanks are considered really strong, so the Ornn top isn't a complete surprise. And then Gnar is generally a great response into Ornn. And then I was a bit surprised by the Kog'Maw, and now the Ezreal Sylas there for UwU.
Yeah, so Kog'Maw is a champion that a lot of people are saying is going up in value once again. Kog'Maw plays well into tanks for one, but then I've also heard discussions about AP Kog'Maw gaining a bit more relevance throughout the last few patches. So maybe you're seeing a reflection of that. As far as the meta goes, you are hitting the nail on the head there, which is that a lot of top lane tank itemization wasn't hit as hard as pure damage itemization goes, and you're kind of also seeing that being reflected with the ADC picks, right? Because Ezreal, Kog'Maw, these are not champions that previously relied on items that got hit really hard, like IE. So, like in theory, their itemization scales a bit better than the items that became far less stat efficient with the new patch last couple of days. Otherwise, you do see like the mid lane lock-ins. Sylas being picked relatively early, especially when you see Gnar Kog'Maw initially, was kind of surprising to me. Just because normally you lock in Silas after you see, oh, like I see like 3 ultimates baseline that I can take here and that I would really like to use. So to me that kind of reads as UwU saying, okay, well we can lock in Silas. This is something we're comfortable going with, and it's something that's versatile and we can play around with. Overall, though, as far as the picks are going, taking a look at the accounts of all of these players, nothing is super duper surprising or shocking. I think that it's all within their normal wheelhouses of play, which kind of makes sense with how this draft league is going to be working. You kind of maybe you want to lean more towards comfort, and then you want to start picking champions that can pinch your opponent's pools a bit more. But at least as far as game one is concerned, you kind of just want to plant your feet in the ground and have that comfort going for you.
Yeah, and that is very true. And I know Silas, like with a Gnar ultimate, is really good. I don't see a lot of other ults to
Oh.
take him, but here we have an Aurelion Sol Morgana as the last 2 picks for UwU, which signals to me that's probably a Silas jungle.
Mm-hmm.
But then on red side, yeah, we have Brahmin. I'm curious to see what they pick here. R5, how they round out their comp.
I mean, like the assumption would be that you're going towards jungle right now because none of these champions otherwise are particularly amazing at jungling. Volibear being the hover, and that's
Volibear.
going to be the lock. Okay, so I'd still think that's relatively reasonable given what the teams have drafted here. Obviously, the surprise is seeing this pivot to ASOL because I was literally just talking about Silas as a mid lane pick, and then UwU pulls the rug from out from under me and goes with ASOL as their mid lane. But that's also something that UwU has actually practiced in the past couple of days. They have run ASOL as their mid laner, so definitely things that they feel confident on, at the very least.
Yeah, and I know Aurelion Sol is one of the champions that has seen a lot of success this patch, from at least my experience and from what I've seen. Syndra, though, on the other side as well.
Mm-hmm.
And if I was just looking specifically at the mid lane matchups, being a mid laner myself, I know I heavily favor the Syndra in this matchup. I think it is a very hard lane for Aurelion Sol to play. So I'll be curious to see how this shapes out.
So as you can see, a little griefer actually just locked in Silas. So is that a Morgana? Okay, it's Ornn jungle.
Ornn jungle and Aurelion Sol top.
I haven't seen that in years.
Wow. Okay. Well, well, this will be an interesting thing. So while we wait for everyone to get then in game and we get the delay going, we're gonna go to a quick break. So don't go anywhere. See you soon. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Here we are with game one between Top and UwU, and we kind of we have an interesting thing here with an orange jungle. We were briefly talking about it before we went on break, but yeah, true. I don't know. What are your thoughts here going on?
I mean, I don't expect Ornn's clear speed to be very fast. Like, obviously, with the jungle paths, clearing is something that pretty much a variety of champions can do in the jungle nowadays. But locking in Orange jungle, I don't think your clear speed is going to be particularly quick. Interestingly enough, you do see the spell book on the Ornn, so you're going to be able to swap your flash out for other abilities, as you need them. Maybe when you're ganking, maybe when you're trying to get to a different spot faster, who knows. But either way, even if BB Ham Q gets a leash here, which doesn't look like it's going to happen, your clear speed is not going to be nearly as fast as Volibear. Oh, Lena taking a big chunk. Gosh darn.
Yeah, that's a lot of poke there. That is not very fun for him. So rough start to the lane, but just very standard clears. It looks like Volibear's, but both junglers starting on their red buff, and yeah, going in. Not much happening here.
Yeah, I mean, obviously your eyes are just going to be on the jungles as they path towards their respective lanes. I think interestingly enough, BB Hemq went from red to Krugs. Might look for something early. Level 2 potentially. They're in top lane though. Little Griefer. And spicy with Sakura Kai.
Yeah, we got a little trade going up there. And one thing that I just noticed now myself, Sylas has Grasp. And this is something that I've been actually thinking about a little bit myself, wanting to try out just this more bruisery Sylas build with Grasp. So I actually like the innovation here from a Whittle Griefer. So
yeah, I mean, it also works out because Gnar, being a ranged champion, you're not particularly long ranged, so it should work out just fine. You are able to get the grass procs, and then obviously when you go into melee form, you can get your grass procs. Although Whittle Griefer is getting a little beat up.
Yep, have a little trade here. Oh, nice dodge though from a Whittle Griefer, dodging the stun. But it looks like Gnar just jumps away and backs out here.
Yeah. I mean, so because we're in this a bit of like little bit of a lull early on here. Oh, now as I say that, Sakura Kai getting extremely low in top lane. But talking about the dynamic of these two teams, obviously speaking of draft league, is he going for it? He's going for it.
He's going for the dive. Is he gonna get it? Nice.
Oh, the flash out!
He gets the first blood. Okay, by first blood to a Whittle Griefer. There in the top lane, and he denies that entire wave because of that. So all in all, very worth, I think, for Sylas.
Yeah, absolutely, and you can see off the backs, right? Kai is coming back into lane with Boots, No Magic Mantle, and Whittle Griefer is coming back with a full-blown Blasting Wand, right? You were talking about having this more like Bruiser-ish Sylas build, but potentially you're looking for something else. Otherwise, though, bot lane, here comes a gank.
Yeah, big gank there from Kryptonic Killer. Nice wraparound. It looked like Morgana either did not quite have Black Shield up, or just wasn't fast enough to use it and get out. Because she definitely, we saw him use it after the Volibear stun came out, and at that point it's probably just a death sentence. But it looks like they are trying to run down BBQ Ham, or BB Ham Q.
Cancel! Oh no!
So much action going on here already now. A lot of fighting here.
My goodness. Yeah, as you said, a lot of action between both of these teams. Obviously, I think it behooves Top to be doing this so aggressively, right? We are talking about the Ornn and what the Ornn is capable of, and Ornn does have a lot of survivability, sure, and you do have that slight advantage to utilize your passive to build your items on the go. You don't necessarily have to be backing as often. But that's more of a compensation for the fact that your player speed on its own is naturally slow. They're able to force out Flash from HamQ, but obviously he does have that spellbook available. Top lane, though, continuing to be a brawl.
Yep, just continual trading here as Whittle Griefer just continues to like, I guess, fist fight with this Gnar in the middle of the wave. The one advantage I guess Silas does have with that is just with his passive, he can continue to just clear waves as, as he goes around and autos the Gnar. So he does end up getting the push while getting to fight there.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're playing towards your advantage. Obviously, XP is still relatively the same, but Silas does have a large chunk of damage as well as sustain when it comes to a full-blown committed fight. Only thing that Will Griefer has to be aware of now is just when this Gnar is able to hit Mega, you don't want to be near any sort of terrain, any sort of wall, because he just can get combo stunned. Especially with Cryptonic Killer going towards the grubs, will be sitting topside, but mid lane there's a gank.
Yep, Syndra just walks away. Doesn't look like they're quite interested in diving Syndra right there. But in the meantime, we have a little skirmishing going on bot lane, but we have Volibear taking the grubs. And it looks like top is just going to... I'm sorry, not top. UwU is just going to give up the grubs.
I mean, I don't really think that there's much that they can do. They don't have any vision in the area. Yes, they know that Syndra's around because they just tried to pull off a gank mid. But then as far as the lane states go, right, you're not exactly incentivized to just be throwing every single resource you have towards contesting 3 grubs. So I think it's reasonable to just let it go. Top lane though, Sakura-Kai. God, he like this is just tense for the Gnar, especially because even when you see Gnar transition into melee form, Widow Griefer will just jump in and then duck out as fast as possible, dodge away from that wallop that's stunned, and you really deny a lot of damage potential that Sakura-Kai has. Bot lane, though, getting a little spicy.
Yep, they are looking to trade very aggressively now after Ezreal used his E. And Widow Griefer catches Gnar, but doesn't quite have the range, it looks like. It's too ult into a wall, and he may just... he gets the solo kill there!
Oh my goodness.
This was not how I was expecting this lane to go. I'll be completely honest with you.
I mean, it's also, like a knife's edge sort of margin, right? One more auto from the Gnar probably kills the Sylas in that situation, right? So, like, a Widow Griefer played that as close as they could. And now, it's paying dividends, right? You are seeing, double CS lead, right? 65 to 31 there in the top lane. In the jungle, though, brothers are being brothers while there's fighting Ornn. It's like your Black Killer's going to be able to secure this one away.
Yep, Tonic just comes in, quick smite onto the red buff. We have the Ornn ulting, forcing Syndra to flash over here as the Aurelion Sol puts down an ult, and he's just getting pelted by Dragon, but he flashes over, and it looks like Stonewall's able to pick up the kill onto the Syndra, while Cryptonic Killer takes out the Aurelion Sol and the Morgana. They're turning onto Ornn here. This fight is looking so bad for UwU, but the teleport from Weaver, and Fafnir ends up picking up false there. Well, that was
greedy, wanting the ward. Happens.
Yeah. Oh no, that was a 4 for 3 in favor of top.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the objective doesn't get taken. A lot of summoners get blown off of it. Critically, for top, though, it's not just about getting the kill advantage there. It also relieves pressure on Sakura-Kai because a Widow Griefer TP'd in to, salvage as much of the fight as they could, which meant that Gnar is able to farm up. They are able to get 2 plates, equalize that disadvantage at the very least. And right now you can see a relatively healthy 600, 700 gold lead for the side of top. Obviously, things could be going a lot worse. Honestly, with the Ornn jungle, I kind of expected things to be worse, but it's not going as poorly as I expected it to. But that being said, you're kind of seeing, things break out here. I think if you looked at the ranks of these players, kind of where you might expect them to be. Mainly that top for UwU United. The Will Griefers, I believe, Masters, or at least finished Masters last split.
Yes.
You're up against Sakura-Kai, who I believe was Plat. So Honestly, I think Sakura is punching up relatively well, everything considered. But, on the other side of it, you're seeing a lot of action towards the bot lane, where I believe that top is a bit more favored as far as their ranks go, as far as their prep goes. And I think it's working out relatively well for them thus far, but the game is still relatively close.
Yeah, that is true. Like it's a 400 gold lead in favor of top here, but and I imagine most of that gold is probably on the Volibear. But yeah, it's been very even. Like both teams have been trading blow for blow, punch for punch, for the most part. With top, I guess, getting slight advantages, mostly from, like you were saying, that bot lane and the mid lane here, because we have a 2-0 Kog'Maw here on Fafnir, and I think Syndra is up. That's 10, about 10 CS. No, 9 technically. So things are still looking good for it. The game is, like you're saying, I think really balancing on a knife's edge. We don't know what's gonna happen. Just waiting for the tension to finally build up and then break.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think the other thing that we're talking about as far as scaling goes is obviously Will Griefer doing really well for himself with this Silas up top lane. But the thing that I'd imagine UwU United is a bit more concerned about is looking at this Kog'Maw, right? Already 2-0. Everyone knows that Kog'Maw scales extremely well into late game, especially when you have tools to keep the Kog'Maw safe, like something like a Braum, something like a Syndra that can push you away. Or, let's say just threaten the backline either way, right? And Kog'Maw can be extremely dangerous in that regard. Top lane, they're hard committing for this.
Force the Ornn out. Sakura having a nice dodge there and ulting a little Gleefer into the tower. When we have the teleport from Syndra, it is to get a shutdown onto a little Gleefer. Here we have Kryptonic Killer coming in, stunning the Ornn, tries to flash away and unstoppable, but Kryptonic Killer takes him down. That's a really nice movement from Sakura there. A nice collapse from the rest of top to secure 2 for nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. And also you see you now have 6 grubs on the side of top, right? They are very well positioned, transitioned into this mid game. They got that first dragon as well. They have, a monopoly on those neutral objectives thus far. They're able to push down the towers a lot faster at this point. So now UwU United probably going to start feeling the pressure a little bit as time mounts up, because they do want scaling, right? They want this Assault to scale into the late game. They want Ezreal to get to a point where it's extremely hard to catch him. But obviously, with the game going how it is, Sakura in trouble?
Sakura does take the turret, and it looks like he was going to get punished for his potential overstay there for the turret, but Gnar is a cool champion. He has his boots, his movement speed boost from, I think it's his W passive.
Yep.
And yeah, he just able to walk it off.
Yeah, absolutely. And things are working out reasonably well thus far for top. Obviously, the only thing they are super duper worried about, the Hyper. They're super duper worried about is the Silas. Does have a lot of damage on him, but they are taking steps to neutralize that, as you saw with the TP, with that double stun that Sakura got. Right, I think if top is going to be worried about anything, it's just that now the Silas is transitioning out of lane. He's going to be able to make use of the ultimates that he steals to have a very positive, mid-game fight, and that might be where UwU United finds their way back in as far as fights go. That being said, this Syndra is laying down a lot of damage, and your fight's breaking out.
Yeah, we have a big fight here coming out. Looks like their Around Soul is able to get away. They get a shutdown on that Volibear there, and everyone is backing away. But Ezreal does E forward onto Bestie there. He takes a Syndra stun to the face, is forced to flash out. Braum's stunned into death. The one danger for Ezreal Eing forward, and we have Sakura here on the flank here, looking for a big ult, stunning both Odo Griefer and BB Hamq into the wall. Another kill for Syndra, killing spree there. And yeah, a nice collapse there. It looked like they they started off the fight really poorly with Tonic just dying really quickly. But a Widow Griefer is coming in, but trying to get something else going there. But Want Marriage just walks it off.
Yeah. So talking about how that was initially going, right? UwU came out ahead initially because Kryptonic Killer goes over the wall, using the ultimate, using Stormbringer. But by doing so, it kind of separates himself from the rest of the team, right? Bestie is there in mid lane, but obviously Syndra, you don't want to walk up into several members. Want Marriage also, jumped forward towards the Syndra, trying to help out the Volibear as well, but that also meant that Glacial Fissure gets stolen by the Sylas, and that's exactly what we were talking about. That's UwU's way to dictate these fights. You get Sylas and the ability that will help you win, help you take things on your terms, and that's exactly what happened. The problem was that UwU kind of overstayed their welcome. They needed to completely get out because they didn't have any strong tools. Instead, False, shifted forward, took a lot of damage for it, and ended up dying, and things went south. But talking about going south, Sakura Kai. Oh, man.
Nice flash by him. He does get sent into the wall, but with his Merc Treads, he's able to flash over the wall and create enough distance to get away. Yeah, so 3k gold date, though, in favor of top here.
Yeah.
And yeah, things, all in all, I think top have just in general been playing the map a lot better than UwU.
Yeah. And it's also about where their lead is, right? With this side of UwU United, the best lead that they have really is situated on this Sylas. And so when Sylas is present, things feel a bit more balanced for them. They feel a bit more confident, they feel like they can take fights. But when Sylas isn't there, or when Sylas has already used a lot of the tools, False eating forward.
That was a very aggressive play, but a Widow Griefer is there to back him up, and Fafnir might not be long for this world unless he can get some fancy feet there. He is not quite able to get away, though. But it looks like top is collapsing here. Want Marriage coming in. We have a Kryptonic Killer ulting in, taking down False, and we have the Braum passive set up on Syndra. Syndra just one-shots the Morgana there. But it looks like Bestie is not going to be able to get much done. Meanwhile, Sakura Kai and BB Hamq were duking it out. Unfortunately, level 11 Nard does beat a level 9 Ornn. I'm very sorry to say that, BB Hamq, but wow, very, very bloody game.
Yeah, it's once again just a reflection of that confidence when you have the Sylas around. It's like, okay, go, force, eat onto the Kog'Maw, do this aggressive move because Sylas is coming down. We know we can do this. We know we can pull it off. And then what happens afterwards? Okay, well, we burnt all of our tools. Here comes Volibear. Here comes Braum. Here comes Syndra. Black Shield can only apply to one person. Stonewall makes the call, throws Black Shield onto the Sylas. Yes, unfortunately, that means False dies. And obviously, as you said, Syndra has a lot of damage. They're able to kill the Morgana. But, in response, the Syndra dies. So as long as Sylas is present, right, they do feel confident to do things, and obviously this Aesol has not been, thrown into the dumpster as far as gold is concerned, so is starting to become more of a threat, especially when you have Skies Descend ready for yourself. You can kind of, just hard dictate fights with that ultimate alone, but that's kind of where UwU United has to play at this point. Right, you have to play around your Aesol ult. You have to play around the Sylas. Jungle is not looking great, right? It's tenuous to say the least, or to say the most. Not to put any blast on it, right? But Ornn Jungle not looking particularly happy. And granted, yeah, you're even on farm. That's great, but you also lost the 1v1, and admittedly, maybe you should be taking 1v1 2 levels down. But speaking of 2v1 in top lane.
Yeah, we have a Widow Griefer. He goes for a very aggressive trade there. Meanwhile, Fafnir just cooks Elena there. Well, I don't think that's the little void puppy you want to be flying towards there, Elena. That is a very strong Kog'Maw right now.
Yeah, that was a bold choice, to counter Legend forward into the Kog'Maw. Yes, Aesol does have damage. Absolutely, don't get me wrong about that. The itemization isn't quite there yet, right? You're not at that point where you are capable of melting through a champion. Sakura Kai in trouble.
Sakura Kai, he might just fall here to a Whittle Gleefer. He didn't have his Nard bar up all the way. It was up a little too far, and Silas just comes in. Those lethal points on Silas are so annoying. Because he can just get in there, take these really short trades, and start whittling you down. With how mobile he is, he could just get away then, and just does that on repeat, and has so much random damage for no reason, it feels like.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
looks like both teams, though, are setting up to do the dragon.
False might be in
False
trouble.
did not think Volibear was going to be there, forced to E away and flash. Kryptonic Killer follows up with his flash. Nice buffer, though, from the Volibear ult, but it doesn't amount to anything. Here we have Whittle Griefer falling up onto the Ornn. This fight is a little split up.
Watch the Cog.
With Elena going in. Kog'Maw is just free hitting, though, onto both the Aurelion Soul and Silas. We do have the Nard coming in to join, but Kog'Maw is a bit exposed. He is able to get away because the Blast Cone and Want Marriage is low. So all in all, that ended up being, unless we have more action coming in because we have the Nard bar all full. Again, it looks like it's just going to be a 2-for-1 then again in favor of top.
Yeah, I mean, so top is able to come out on top. But the thing that works out really well for them just is how split up UwU United ended up going. Like, obviously, yes, Ezreal gets caught out. There's not really much that you can do about it. But then Elena also flashes over the wall. Kind of looked like semi-panic, but it may be like also the call trying to chase down, trying to close distance onto the Kog'Maw, slow the Cog maybe so Silas can get in. But the fight around the dragon continues.
It does, and looks like BB Hamq just charging forward. We have Aurelion Soul charging forward very boldly and ends up dropping. Whoa, the Gnar, Sakura Kai coming in with a big ulti, and it looks like double kill there for Syndra. False and Stonewall are forced to run away. They're going to try to pick up Want Marriage, it looks like, but they will not be able to. They got the dragon, but I don't know if that was worth. It looks like they top might be able to turn onto Baron now.
I mean, they absolutely have the time to. You can see they're sending 4 members towards it. Bestie does have TP available, so they might TP into it, but they're also relatively safe so far, right? There are no TPs to threaten. Team is only coming up right now. Baron, roughly 75% HP, so possible that... Ooh, no, never mind. I spoke way too soon. Yeah, they have no time of getting there. But yeah, so as far as that goes, it was a really great ultimate from Sakura Kai, finding the opportunity, using that Narbar, as you said, getting a, 4-man ultimate, and because of the CC combo, right, Silas can't stay alive. And honestly, UwU United kind of got the dragon as a consequence, as a matter of happenstance. Dragon went down to 6 HP and died to Stonewall. So it's more blind luck that UwU came away with that objective. It's catastrophic for them in the regards that, like, okay, yeah, we got that, but, you know, we lost 4, we lose Baron now. The game is so well accelerated for the side of top that, honestly, I'm not really, like, if I were in their position, I wouldn't really be all that worried. And, like, now you just kind of gotta play it out, right? Your Kog'Maw is 4-1, heading towards 3, like roughly 2.5, 2 1/3 items already, right? Your Gnar, at the very least, is very well aware of what they have to do in fights, as well as Volibear. Your Syndra is also strong. So if you're top, you're not particularly concerned about how things are going. If you're UwU, on the other hand, you know, Asol still needs items. Ezreal still needs items. Morgana can only Black Shield one person at a time. You know, you're kind of starting to sweat bullets a little bit because it's getting harder and harder for you to manage, especially with this Kog'Maw free hitting in so many fights.
Yeah, and the game has just sped up so much that it's getting to be difficult, I think, for Aurelion Soul to slow the game down and have the value that you'd expect. But I guess as we're talking here, little skirmish in the top lane. Little Gleefer, it looks like he's going to try to catch out Sakura Kai. But, oh, we have Kryptonic Killer, though, coming from behind. Little Gleefer might be caught, but Stonewall and False are there to back him up. And Sakura Kai trying to kite away, but will end up going down. Kryptonic Killer is trying to waste their time while the rest of top collapse. We have Volibear ulting in there, Stonewall just dropping to Fafnir. We have the Ornn ulti slows down Pokemon's ability to continue chasing, but Syndra is here, pumping in the damage. Aurelion Sol there to try to deter any further approaches. Force and Silas there being forward, forcing the Syndra to flash away. And we get another 1-for-1. This time it's a top for support.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 1-for-1, but it also feels like UwU just loses on the back end of it. Right? They're the ones who are constantly running away. Like, yes, Kryptonic Killer had to, get out to safety, sure. Oh no. Okay, this like no, he didn't see him.
It's trying to do some like cheeky little steal here. I wonder, will he get it off? BB Ham
he's like,
walking
just want to walk up and smite it. Yeah.
Oh, he does. He does. Okay. Well,
yeah, there's not much a worm can do.
I'm trying to inflict that 1d4 psychic damage to BBMQ, stealing another red buff right in his face.
Yeah. Like at that point, it's kind of like you said, it's just psychic damage, damaging the morale, and yeah, really, UwU just has the one thing that they can play around, right? Play around the Silas, hope that you can get a pick, hope that you can try to transition that into something. But it feels like almost every single time UwU plays for the Silas to get 1 kill, maybe 2, it like almost instantaneously top is there to respond, right? So like yes. Top takes a hit, but then they hit back harder. Oh no, Ornn's gone.
That Ornn just falls again, and this is not your jungle anymore.
Yeah, absolutely not. Do I really? I believe that at this point, Syndra does have the execute available. Yeah, and obviously, having that, I believe it's something like a 15% health execute on Syndra or something like that. Like
that.
Either way. Correct. Yeah, being able to get that execute against a champion that gets as tanky as Ornn is really nice. But, once again, BB HamQ kind of down in the dumps, right? Like, there's not much you can do. You're just trying to build full tank. You're trying to be a somewhat useful frontline for your team. And it's so hard to fulfill that role when you have something like a Syndra with an execute or a Kog'Maw that's shredding through you. It's a devastating position to be in. Yeah.
Yeah, the game has gotten completely out of their hands. We see it is only like approximately a 6,500 gold lead. But yeah, the game just feels so difficult. However, it has slowed down. They were able to slow down the tempo just enough that Baron is now used. They don't have Baron buff, and I know they haven't had Baron buff for a little while, but Aurelion Sol is able to now just slow down and clear waves. That it's really hard for I think top 2 Siege without the Baron buff. It is coming up though in 30 seconds, and it does look like they're posturing like to set up vision and take it. But for right now, they were able to slow it down and stop the gold lead from ballooning even more. So good on UwU for that.
Yeah, and they set up a decent vision line around the objectives, right? They're able to know, what UwU is trying to do as far as their entrances into the river go. Stonewall's in trouble.
Yeah, we have another fight here breaking out. Stonewall does get away with a good flash. Meanwhile, there are 2 bot lane after Sakura-Kai, but I'm not sure that this is quite the lane assignments that you'd want. Kryptonic Killer does just Volibear ult, shut down the turret as they engage onto the Ezreal and Morgana, take out the Ezreal, and get out scot-free, taking another turret. But on the bot side, it looks like Selena and a Whittle Guifer were able to take that bot turret and pick up an objective bounty. But they're resetting now, and yeah, top just turn on Baron because UwU is completely off tempo to contest them for this.
Yeah, and you can see that Whittle Griefer is going to throw the TP up as well. Yeah, as well as Elena. So they are going to try to commit, at least for, if not a contest, just like try to fight around it. They will want marriage. Elena might pay for it with her life, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they do send it on the hard engage. You're trying to pick up at least some kills to reduce the number of barons there. Oh, Bestie having
Ooh.
some nice movement there to, looks like survive?
Yeah, she's out. Their Syndra's out. They are only able to get one off of the commit. They lose two in response, and yeah, it kind of feels like UwU is playing a bit desperately at the moment, right? They're kind of just like throwing themselves in, hoping it sticks, hoping they can get kills, and you think about who they're capable of killing, and yeah, maybe you can kill the Gnar, maybe you can kill the Volibear, maybe you can kill the Braum, and like some random circumstance here and there, but you're not killing the Kog'Maw, you're not killing the Syndra. Like the Syndra who is capable of just bursting you out by hitting your outplay button, hitting your R, deleting a champion. This Kog'Maw who has stayed relatively untouched for the past, let's say, 20 minutes. And yeah, like UwU, their job is so difficult because maybe your way in is like finding a Rogue Morgana binding onto Kog or Syndra, but the problem with that is Syndra has a Banshee's Veil. Kog has a Braum. Like,
Yeah, and a Volibear to walk up in front too.
yeah.
So it
So
becomes really hard.
Oh no.
Oh no, Elena
Oh, no.
just might be dead. Oh, but the Seraph's
okay.
just enough shielding to save. I would have thought that Throne Soul was just dead there.
And honestly, the difference maker might be those Merc Treads, right? Giving you enough tenacity to reduce the stun duration, get away, but also just that little sliver of magic resist goes a long way too. So, at least in this circumstance, as far as avoiding the execute goes. But yeah, like it's a desperate position that UwU United find themselves in. They're trying to farm up, but they've lost out on 2 Barons. They lost out on 6 Grubs. Their Soul is coming up right now for top in the next 30 seconds. And UwU are not in any sort of position to look for something, right? They don't have vision control in their own jungle. They don't have a way to scout. Oh no, Stonewall.
Oh, Stonewall
Holy
just ends
cow.
up face checking and dying, and this might just be the game, as top have gotten false and BB Ham Q there as well. Reliant Soul is still alive, so small chance might be able to hold, but it is against a Baron buff minion wave here. So this is going to be very difficult for them to hold for another 30 seconds. Looks like Widow Griefer though is going on flank to see if he can get something done there. But I don't know. It's really hard for them to do much.
Yeah, I mean, like they're essentially just hoping that they can get a few more minutes out of this, and it looks like top might be giving that to them, right? They're playing it safe. They're going for the bottom lane inhib. They don't want a hard commit to just killing the Nexus immediately, which I think honestly they are fully capable of doing, right? They are at a 12k gold lead here, 33 minutes into the game. They are extremely well positioned, but they choose to not put themselves in a situation where they could throw away significant lead and they could give away the dragon. Steal's not going to happen.
Yeah, steal doesn't happen. That's Soul there for top, and Silas does take a big chunk of damage. I'm not sure. Is he going to be able to get away? He does walk away. He's not able. Syndra doesn't quite have the range. It looks like it's to press ult on him, but
yeah, but Silas also just can't walk up into Syndra, right? Because that Banshee's Veil, right? It means that Silas doesn't have. Yes, technically you still have sticking power, but you don't have that little bit of CC that can be dynamic enough for you to find a way in, get a window to kill the Syndra, and also it denies all the damage from a single spell for that Silas, and that's pretty darn meaningful. Like, at this point, I don't. I think if you're UwU, you're just thinking about game 2, right? Like, you're just thinking about clearing the board. You don't have to worry about like any of the champions that are currently on the Rift right now for game number 2. Maybe you just want to mentally reset, because this has been a rough one for the vast majority of the players on UwU United.
yeah, that is for sure. Widow Griefer, I know he has been trying, but it's difficult for him to do much this game because he is a Silas, and Silas is very hard to play into a Braum and a Volibear.
Yeah.
So things are looking a bit rough for them. But a World Griefer here is trying to make maybe one last ditch effort play here with a flank. I'm not sure he should be engaging there though, because he
I
doesn't have the
don't think
rest of
it's
his
happening.
team to follow up. He just gets one shot. That's rough right there.
Yeah, you're going for broke, right? You're hoping you can make something happen. You disrupt the enemy team. Oh my goodness, Silas is behind us, but no, Top are ready for it. As you said, hard to play Silas into something like a Braum, and we found a killer just going in. They're going for the throat with this one.
Yeah, the game, it looks like, may just be over as they're about to triple inhib here. And yeah, Volibear flashing onto Elena doesn't quite take out the Aurelian Soul as they push him back into the Nexus, but both Nexus turrets are now down. The Ornn is down. Ezreal's going to try to pad KDA a little bit by picking up the Braum, but doesn't quite succeed, and that's game 1 to Tom.
Yeah, all right. I
Yeah.
mean, like we expected things to be difficult for UwU heading into this game because you have this pick, this orange jungle that is going just bound to be slow, right? And that is how it played out. The Ornn was a bit slow. The Ornn, just wasn't capable of matching pace with that volley bear. But the other thing that I think is also worth giving recognition to is how well bot lane played out for the side of top. Right, the Kog'Maw staying untouched for the vast majority of time. Uh, being able to transition to a strong mid game alongside that Syndra really meant that all of the lead that a Will Reefer accumulated for themselves in top lane was ultimately meaningless. But also, shout out to Sakura, right? Like, that was a rough laning phase to be sitting in, to be dealing with, but also finding that, critical 4-man ultimate in the Dragon Pit to really break the game open for your team is exactly what you kind of want to get out of a rough game, when you are just kind of getting beaten down on. So very well played to top.
Yeah, that is true. But then on the other side for UwU, like we did see a little Guifer there have, I thought, in general, a very good game.
Yeah.
I want to say finished the game, I think it was 7-4 on Silas.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's definitely a shining point that I would like to, I think, for the next game, see UwU make some adaptations there to try to enable Odal Griefer to do more. So I don't know if that means putting them on a split pusher or picking maybe a higher tempo, early game tempo pushing jungler than Ornn. But something like that can just get Odal Griefer unlocked to start running around the map and either taking turrets or just wreaking havoc in team fights.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that giving credit where credit is due. Obviously, Little Griefer did really, really well for themselves. That being said, I'm actually very excited to still see what happens in game number 2 because none of those champions are on the board heading forward, right? So gonna see 2 completely different drafts for both of these teams head into game 2.
Yeah, but with that, we're going to go to a quick break while we get set up for game 2. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back, everyone, to Game 2 between Top and UwU. Here we are live again. I'm joined by True and Big Stevie this time. Welcome to the cast, Big Stevie, for Game 2.
Of course, thanks for having me. Couldn't miss this historic occasion, the first week of the draft, or the first preseason of the draft league, with the new true fearless draft format. I mean, you got to be there.
Yeah, it's something not to be missed. And we've already gotten into draft here. Teams just throwing out bans, basically just for champs that were played last series. But now we do have a side swap here with Top this time on blue and UwU on red. And Top start off by picking away B1.
Yeah, I mean, I think that once again it's kind of consistent with what they have, like they've been playing recently, right? Bestie has been playing Hui, has been playing things like Hui, Syndra, Ari, of that sort. So not super surprising. Also probably feeling a bit confident given how last game went, right? Played the Syndra reasonably well, I would absolutely say, and so maybe he feels comfortable just locking Hui. Also, Hui technically can be flexed to support, right? That's the other thing that you can acknowledge. So it's not necessarily giving a ton away by locking in that champion. On the other side of it, though, UwU, hurting after that last game, they answer instantly with Kaisa. Maybe feeling like, okay, well, last game didn't go so hot for us in the ADC department. Maybe we can lock in something that can do extremely well. Also locking in Lux. That's interesting, yeah.
Yeah, for me, that's a statement of intent in mid lane saying, hey, look, we see your way. We know he's immobile. If we get a good ganking jungler along with that Lux, we can turn the mid lane for Top into an absolute living nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you mentioned that way could be flexed down to support, but if that is a mid laner and say something like, oh, I don't know, a Jarvan comes through, that looks like an absolutely tasty snack to munch on in the mid lane.
Zyra pick now.
Yeah, so Zyra is also something that Top does play at support, but it's also something that can be flexed around, right? Because everyone knows that Zyra can now be locked in as a jungler, so technically still possible for flex. There is something to be said about, not wanting to lock in too many flex picks for your team because that can lead to other sorts of problems, but in theory, Top is locked in Hui mid as well as Zyra Ashe bot. So a lot of damage thus far for Top. That's not to be outdone on the side for UwU. They do still have a whole ton. As Stevie said, right? Lux can turn mid lane into a living hell for Hui with something like a J4 strong early ganking jungler.
Yeah,
with the Leona too.
Mm.
Yeah, I was gonna say with the Leona too. Leona definitely is that little bit of extra engagement you need. It's gonna turn bot lane into a poke v engage battle. Can Zyra Ashe whittle down Leona Kaisa before Leona Kaisa can find a good engage? I'd probably wager yes, because that's a lot of damage that Zyra and Ashe are able to put on the bot side. But as much as Lux plus ganking jungler could be a big issue for a Hui mid lane, I'd actually say the opposite's true as well, especially now that you have an Ashe who can be throwing those ultimates, potentially looking for some plays around mid lane, as well as being that primary engage for the team. I could definitely turn. I would be shocked if we got out of this laning phase with a 0-0 mid lane. I think is the real point I'm trying to hit here.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
there's nothing more tilting as a mid laner than to be hit by a random across map Ashe arrow. Because at that point, you just know you're dead, especially if you're a Lux into something like a Hui, or if the jungler shows up, well, it's over.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the other thing that's also worth talking about here, I will talk about the Kazakhs in a second, but these fights can be really explosive, right? You have so much damage, so much lockdown. Leona, Lux, Kaisa, but then on the other side, Hui, Zyra, Ashe, that's more than capable of blowing people up. The one thing I do want to comment for the Kazakhs, for UwU, is that I do believe that Kazakhs is BB Hamq's one trick. So maybe after the Ornn performance, right, wants to go towards something like, yes, I know what I can do with this champion. I feel very confident with it. Just going to lock it in, feel confident heading into game 2 after game 1 was not so hot.
Yeah, and to his credit, this is probably one of the best spots to pick like a jungle Kha'Zix when you have a Leona support and you see 3 squishies on the enemy team. So they're not just gonna overload with tanks. Of course, they do respond with the Scion Vi, but Kha'Zix I think can still have a lot of value here, and it's picked in a good spot with that tanky frontline engage support in Leona.
Yeah, it's going to need to be something that gets off to a really good start to the game, though. If you do not put gold into the Kha'Zix early, if you're not instantly dropping Ashe, Zyra, or Hui the second you jump on top of them, there's just too much time for those frontliners to turn around, pull out their bug spray, and go to town. I really, really like this competition from top. The Scion was a little bit kind of. It's great that they have that frontliner. It's not great for peeling things like the Leona, like the Kha'Zix, and I think the Gwen in the lane matchup's going to be pretty tricky for the Scion, but big, beefy frontline, always good. And then imagine having a comp with Fi and Ashe as your primary engage. If you ever want to start a fight, you basically just need to ask for it, and it's going to happen approximately half a second later. So I like the idea here from top. UwU feels very, all right, guys, let's just solo queue this kind of, with the Kha'Zix going to be trying to pop off, and then a UwU on the Gwen is probably the main point of focus here for that UwU competition in the top lane.
Yeah, I mean, talking about top lane lock-in, it's just another, bread and butter comfort pick for Sakura Kai. I think Scion is their most played recently. So, they just want Sakura Kai to play something they're comfortable on, right? You went with Gnar last game, going with Scion this game, known quantity that you can play around. I do agree insofar as, does it fully match in with the comp? There are picks that can functionally match better, but, as far as giving Sakura Kai something that they're familiar with and they can play well, that's probably what they're more leaning towards.
Yeah, it's definitely the kind of pick that you do for the team comp, and I think in this situation, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I would like to add potentially a little bit of extra flavor here. So, as you guys probably know, we had the Draft League draft last week where these teams were put together. And one thing I noticed at the end of last game is that UwU did make a very interesting play in the top lane going 1v4. During the Draft League draft, UwU, aka Nick, did put the threat out there to all of the captains that if they were selected in the first round, they were going to run down the entire season in the top lane. And Elena completely ignored that warning and picked Nick in the first round. So I'm curious as to whether or not that narrative is going to be continuing after the first game. Maybe just like, all right, game 1, there's our token throw. Let's come back in game 2. Or is UwU going to be the curse of UwU for the season? To be fair, he did warn them. He warned them that he will run them down. And full respect.
And
Yeah,
you put
and-
out that sort of warning, you gotta acknowledge it, right?
Yeah, and like he was having a good game, and that last play, it just seemed like either very int or tilt play, or I don't know what. So, but hearing that warning now, maybe it was a very cold, calculated self-sabotage play there.
Possibly, yeah. Interestingly enough, Sakura Kai actually has played this matchup today in solo queue. Played Sion versus Gwen. So, yeah, at the very least, something that is still fresh in their minds. Um, Obviously, considering how Game 1 played out, I'm sure that Sakura Kai is keeping patience and safety in mind as far as the top lane will go. Uh, Also, probably putting a lot of faith in their teammates to do well. Um, I As far as comps go, I agree with Steve. I do really like what Top has brought to the table here with this, and also agree with the assessment that it feels very solo QE for the side of UwU. But hey, solo QE running it down kind of fits thematically in that regard.
And the one last narrative point I'll put in there is that we are in the XT's systematic point-based free-for-all mode or something, where there's the actual rankings during the league about who's winning, who's losing in the Swiss, and then there are the XT rankings, which base you off of cool points, which is like your draft, any content you produce. So maybe this is a team that's min-maxing the XT points, but either way, we'll have to see whether or not it works on the Rift.
Yeah, but with that,
Okay.
yeah.
It's
So
all
with
mind
that,
games.
it's all mind games. True and Big Stevie, who do you have taking this game to? Start with True.
Yeah, I'll out myself. I had UwU taking this series 2-0, but you're kind of seeing how Top played game 1, how UwU played game 1. Also, like considering the draft, I think that Top is very well positioned to take this series and go 2-0 for it. So I think they'll win.
Okay.
Now, my brain says Top, and the first thing you have to do in Draft League is ignore whatever that organ says. Top comp almost looks too good, therefore there's no way they can win, therefore I think it's going to be an UwU win. Realistically,
Reverse
I think
psychology.
the few points that are really good here for the UwU comp, I think the Gwen to Design matchup is phenomenal. Not as thrilled with Kha'Zix Lux being that mid-jungle duo, but still Kha'Zix on the Kha'Zix player might just do well. And then, Lux got a lot of room to do stuff in mid lane. If there was going to be a game where they could upset the status quo and actually win via their lanes, this would be it. So, hey, I'm throwing caution to the wind and saying, give me a woo.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm Top all the way. I think that UwU are just gonna get caught up in the throes of passion here in game 2, and if they do get a lead, they're just gonna be too enamored and throw it all away. In the heat of the moment, passion, tilt, call it tunnel, call it what you will. But with that, we're gonna go to a quick break while we get into game number 2. So don't go anywhere. And welcome back, everyone, to Game 2 between Top and UwU here. Top taking Game 1. and UwU just falling a little short there. But we have a side swap here and a very different looking draft from, at the very least, UwU. Here, so
Well, that is kind of the beauty of this mode.
Yeah.
Fearless, you're never gonna get the same comp twice.
Unless
Yeah,
it hits
that's
game 5, I think. Right?
Oh, I don't know if it's official, but we were lobbying Cole that game 5 should be like LCK old school rules, where if the series goes to maximum games, you just say forget all the bans, blind pick, go.
oh, blind pick. Okay, I like it.
Yeah, no, I am enamored with doing that. Because you have like the opportunity for so many different things to happen. with a
Think of the
system like that.
content.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we could get another ZVZ blind. Reenactment in here season 14.
Oh my god, imagine the Risen Draft League ZVZ blind matchup game 5 finals. That I would pay good money to watch that.
Yeah, I would as well. That would go hard.
That would be great. But otherwise, we are here in game 2. As Banana said, UwU on the red, Top on the blue. Nothing too shocking. I think maybe you could say BB Hamq going for Ghost on Kha'Zix, but I think you can viably run Ghost on Kha'Zix.
Actually, something I see a lot on especially like a higher elo
man.
Kha'Zix players. But what a griefer just walking up.
fun.
Ow, that snip and
Snippy.
goes this on HP bar.
Yeah, that looked so fun to just deal with immediately.
This, get used to it. Sakura Kai, also known by some as Sakura Kaki, is not going to be in for a fun top lane. This is what Gwen is built to do. Gwen is built to ruin your day, but that's also what junglers are built to do. So we'll see who wins here. Big wave coming in, though. Widowweaver has a little bit of protection, but, you can just hear the dinner bells going.
Yeah, I mean, Tonic Killer should have been spotted out by the wards. At the very least, Little Griefer knows what's going on here. Vi is going to walk forward. A lot of damage down.
Yeah, Vi coming in with the gank there, but we get trolled by spectator. By
The directed camera's just not even interested. It's not a real gank. Don't worry about it.
Nothing's gonna
Little
happen,
Griefer
I
is
swear,
walking
bro.
back
Oh.
up here. Vi does re-engage and he's walking away. But
Oh, no.
who
Oh my
wins this?
God.
Oh no, first blood to a Widow Griefer. Oh no, Kryptonic.
Oh,
that was
dear.
not the gank we were looking for.
That's a little bit of silly there. Widowweaver flash. Ooh, almost gets the Q there from Sakura Kai. Widowweaver, good way to get out of that.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
camera panned away, but Stan was looking to get something there.
Yeah, but one thing I want to point out, with that much spent on the top side for Vi, that was a 3-camp top side gank. Like, that was a complete ignoring the bot side jungle. I'm actually shocked that BB Hamq doesn't get more as a punishment for that. I mean, obviously going down a kill's going to be at least a little bit punishing. But also I want to wind it back because neither of you two want to take the shot, so I will take the shot. And I think that Ghost on Kha'Zix here is terrible.
That's fair.
I think especially given that your whole MO this game is going to be about just quickly getting onto the back line, I think that flash is going to be invaluable to help you close the distance to both the Ashe and the Hui. But we will have to see how it plays out. But right now, I got the anti-stonks. I got the sell right now on the Kha'Zix stocks.
Yeah, you're shorting the Kha'Zix stocks. All right.
Oh,
That's
we're
fair.
shorting the Kha'Zix stocks on this one.
All right. No, and that is very fair. Like the only reason why I think you might say, okay, well maybe BB knows something I don't. I'm a sport player. I have no frame of reference on.
I mean, my brother, I am right there with you. We are two cultured players, is what I'm.
You know what? You're absolutely right. You were talking to me about that before. It's just that, like, if you're a one trick, you tend to like think things or like at least look at the champion differently than other people do, and so I do want to give that credit. But like by and large, yes, you're right. Short the Kha'Zix stocks.
Short it.
Absolutely.
Short it right now.
You know what? If we're wrong, we're wrong. Yeah. Thank you for taking that step. There.
Yeah, and
No, I'm happy to.
See, and what's funny is I don't know if I'd completely agree, just because he has a lot of things he needs to dodge, particularly like the Zyra, would make it really hard. And once he gets his evolved E, like getting onto them shouldn't be difficult. If you have to leap basically 2 screens, to do literally a Jarvan engage as Kha'Zix, then I don't think you're playing Kha'Zix right. I think you're not in the right spot to team fight. But I just think that the Ghost will help him navigate team fights a lot better, and I don't think he should have a hard time getting onto them. But I do see your point. Like, if they end up flashing away and ulting to his face, then they can create a lot of distance that Flash would help, especially if they're like 1 HP and a Flash Q would kill.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's just like the generic utility of Flash is always going to be king for me. But I'm not the ones to pilot this. BB Ham Q is. So we'll see how that goes. He's having so far a pretty good early game for him. 10 CS up plus looks like an uncontested Void Grubs. You have Kryptonic caught out a little bit with the tempo. Not actually able to get anything in response. And this is pretty smooth sailing for UwU this early game.
Yeah.
Speaking of smooth sailing, here's the top side. Ooh!
Oh, Sakurai going in up, but a little Griefer just takes out Zion?
Yeah, so I mean, scissors. This is why you don't run with scissors, kids. It's an interesting play on the top side. Sakurai tries to catch Griefer out for being too aggressive under the tower, uses the ultimate, but then when he winds up the Q, he leaves just a little sliver for Widow Griefer, just a cha-cha slide that way right down the lane away from the tower. And unless you get that additional tower damage, the Gwen's going to do Gwen things. And anyone who's played solo queue in the last 2 years probably can tell you how that goes.
I just want to touch on something. Oh, go ahead.
No, go for it.
I just want to touch on something that we were talking about heading into this game, and was that it was, will the Kai'Sa Leona get poked out before they can get an engage off? Looking like a yes thus far into the game. You saw False go down to 10% HP just from the poke or Sabak. So yeah, as well as things are going in top lane, once again for the side of UwU, bot lane not looking so hot. Definitely not as uncontestably bad as it was game 1, but
yeah,
so far I would say that the game is kind of breaking out along the expected lines again thus far.
Yeah, but here's the big thing, and why I think both of you, rightly so, put a lot of advantage for Top's comp in here, in that it is harder for this red side comp to snowball. Mm-hmm. It's harder for them to break those first few towers, and most importantly, it's hard for them to pick those fights that they want to. If they want to go forward and start an uneven number, even an odd number fight, you're really only relying on Stonewall to be that forward engage for you. Whereas, especially the Gwen who've been engaged on the bot side.
Yeah, we have Sonic coming in and Flash ulting Kai'Sa. She is able to ult away.
Oh my gosh.
But Kryptonic Killer there trying to make good use of first ult, but that's not. And then the Widow Griefer flashing in. That was a really smart flash, I think, by Sakurai there, to flash on the other side of the Gwen, and it allows them to live a little longer, but it still goes down to the Gwen ult.
Yeah, this is just an absolute string of travesties now for the side of Throws of Passion. Not only do they invest 3 ultimates, typically when you throw an Ashe, a Zyra, and a Vi ultimate at something, the end result is not the enemy AD carry walking out safely. Mm-hmm. So that's definitely disappointing. They at least are able to recover Dragon, so they get some, return on investment there. It's something. And then in the top side, Widow Griefer is showing you why they are probably one of the top laners in this league. Not always outperforming every single game, but they definitely have the ability in any individual matchup to beat their opponent up. And I think this is the magic of Draft League. You get a lot of mismatches where you get some on-roll, some off-roll. I know Sakurai, is a decent top laner in their own right, but it's all about how do you leverage those individual discrepancies to, go crazy. And Widow Griefer so far is doing a pretty good job with that mid lane kerfuffle.
Yeah, Bestie taking a nice trade into Elena. Elena losing basically half his HP. Half her HP. Oh,
A little bit
but
of damage
gets
being thrown
caught
back
by...
and forth.
Oh, but
Oh,
just
man.
dropped down. Nice flash from Bestie as well, but I think BBQ Ham has got... No, not quite enough damage.
Who could have seen it coming? The ghost doesn't do damage. Oh, well, either maybe not the ghost's fault there, but unfortunate.
Well, I mean, like, I'm not sure if the ghost versus the flash.
I'm being a little bit of a hater there, so that's fine.
Well, I mean, you are shorting the stock. You gotta sell the short.
Right.
So.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, like it doesn't make.
Watch the Ash ult. Ash ult.
Oh.
Oh, on
There's
to Odal Griefer getting a nice Scion knockup, Zyra, Root, and ult. Gwen is immune, though, and does just end up getting to walk away. But Kryptonic Killer able to pick up the Kha'Zix. It looks like they are chasing Odal Griefer there. Scion getting a slow, not quite able to get the knockup. Zyra getting a nice root there. And a shutdown goes to Kryptonic Killer there. On the kill on Kryptonic goes to Stonewall. That's so tragic that it didn't go to Lux. But I guess now top here punching back.
Yeah, I like the proactive move. They were the first team to allocate somebody from the bot lane up to that fight. They sent Want Marriage on the Zyra up there, and they yeet that Ashe ultimate from the bot lane. And if they don't take, Widow Weaver out from the beginning of that fight, I'm not even sure they win the 2v3, but they invested the manpower in the top lane, plus the Ashe ultimate, and they just had better team play. And that's kind of been the story of this game for me. I think that the total macro is there for the blue side, but right now they're just getting beat individually. But that play is exactly showing you how good team play will beat individual mechanics when you do the team play right.
Yeah, absolutely. And things worked out, as you said. The Ash Arrow Massive, this is a 3.5 second stun. Really meant that Little Reaper couldn't get anything done, but
back in the battle dome.
Another fight here. Grubs do a lot of damage, and Kha'Zix goes down again to Kryptonic Killer there. But it looks like they are trying to walk away. Hui is zoning.
Arrow's out.
Wait. Arrow is coming up. Who does it hit? It looks like it's not going to hit anyone.
1 for 2.
But all while they were busy getting grubs here, Widow Griefer just takes top tier 1.
Yeah, but now here comes Widow Weaver into the rest of the fight. Big ultimates each way. Gonna knock 2 up. But 13 Sin and Juan Mare's got to get out of that one. 13 trying to go over the wall. Stonewall with the E. Great landing there. And Elena is able to limp off to the mid lane, but it will be enough. Not sure that's how they had drawn that one up on the whiteboard before the match, but ends up going red side, at least at the end, and with the grubs.
Yeah, and I think that will net them 5 grubs.
Yeah, things looking really well for UwU this time around, right? Like the Gwen. I will say that like Gwen very much able to dictate a bit harder than Silas, at least as far as this game goes, especially with this lead that a Widow Griefer has at this point.
I'd say go toggle over to that gold lead, and you want to talk about leads. That is a healthy lead for 14 minutes into the game.
Yeah, that's 2,900, close to 3,000. Just about, yeah, just under 3,000.
South of 3, yeah.
As far as difference goes between laners, that's catastrophic. There's no other way of putting it.
That's a gap.
Yeah.
You are shopping at the gap. You're getting great prices right there. Quality products for a fraction of the cost. Widow Weaver is setting up shop here. But here's the biggest thing for me. It's how successfully, because this is a very tough thing to do in organized play, let alone in Risen Draft League. How can we convert a winning side lane split pusher into a victory? Because remember, blue side may be behind, but they have so many tools to start these fights. Speaking of fights, Kryptonic, that's not a fight. That is a back alley beat 'em up right there. That's something out of Yakuza. That's not a fight. That's a one-sided beat.
As far as transitioning out goes, you don't have to worry as much about transitioning the side lane lead if you're also able to get advantages elsewhere too. So,
yeah.
Easy pickup on the side.
It's almost like they had the answer to my question. It's okay, well, what do we do if we have a side laner? Oh, just have the rest of the team be fed, and it's easy.
Yeah, but with that, I don't know, the UwU have started to snowball this match, and a lot of it, I think, though, is off the back of a Widow Griefer. They're just completely opening up top lane. Taking the tier
Whittleweaver,
one.
I think, is the clear difference maker in terms of the overall team. I think if it's a 4v4 without both top laners, I'd probably actually still pretty heavily be on the side of top. So it's going to be on UwU to figure out how to take that top lane advantage and turn it into other things, especially when, there's still the Ashe ult to contend with, there's still the Vi ult to contend with, in a lot of ways for a split push to go so wrong. BB Ham Q is just fishing on the bot side.
Yeah, going for it though. Looks like.
That is a nice engage onto Want Marriage there. Dropping a decent ult, but not able to disengage fast enough. And meanwhile, in top lane, I guess we have a little griefer there fighting it out with Sion again. Sion is not allowed to step anywhere up.
This is
close
not
to
much of a
any
fight.
wave.
Yeah.
No, this is a you go back to the corner and then sit down and time out.
Yep. But say a fight implies 2 participants.
Yeah.
That's oh, okay. Wait, hold on. It's a 3v1. Widowgriefer is like on the top of Top's hit list right now. Gonna run to Kryptonic, but Kryptonic alone cannot do this. Here's the TP coming the other way.
A lot of CC.
A lot of CC there. Widowgriefer might just go down to Sion in that case, and we have Lena there getting caught by Kryptonic.
Here
They're
comes BD
chasing.
Hamq.
They have rotated now. UwU have rotated all 5 of their members up to the top lane. Granted, the Gwen is dead currently, but Sion is just running. I guess trying to slow them down while the team disengages.
Whoa!
But just as I say disengage, Stonewall says no. We are going forward.
Here's the TP. Here's Best.
Nice TP from Best as we have another fight. Really nice EE from the Hui to pull them all into the middle there. Kryptonic Killer is able to take out a couple before he goes down, but that is a net positive fight for top there.
That is
You really good.
that is a hero play sort of TP. Like you would not really expect a Hui to just TP, throw themselves into pretty much the entire enemy team like that, but it works out really well.
Yeah, it's not like the MO you'd normally expect out of the Hui. I don't remember that in Freaks Champion Spotlight. However, as you said, it works well. I think this is kind of one of those macro considerations you have to have in League of Legends, and that is the idea of surrendering when you are behind. Not like the game, don't do that, but a certain objective. There was a lot of effort there from Kryptonic, from Sakurakai, and from Marriage to take down Widowgriefer. Once Widowgriefer's down, that is a majority of your gold lead right there. That's them. And once that's down, I think posting up on the Rift Herald is just courting disaster. And now really reducing that gold lead to about 1.2. And remember, at every single point in this game, Blue side will always be able to pick a fight. Want Marriage? I don't know if they want to pick that fight.
Yeah, this is a bit bold.
That one was a bold one. Want Marriage is forced to flash out. Does get the Leona ult there, but Hui is slowing them down enough. It's hard for Red Team to engage through a Hui ult like that. Nice Ashe ult onto the Leona there. I guess I'm tripping now.
Widowgriefer still on this bot tower. Absolutely nothing forced them to peel off that. Now potentially into 2.
That's a lot of gold swing into Widowgriefer's pocket there, and does pick up Kryptonic Killer as well. I'm not sure I like that macro decision from top.
Yeah, no, I mean they're just not really aware of everything that's happening on the map. Sakurakai now with the push, they should be going down quite shortly here. And keep in mind, that's with Dragon available in 39 seconds. This could be a bit of a bad kill to give away at the moment.
Yeah, not much that can be done about it though. Right?
Ooh, bye-bye.
Whoa.
Want Marriage picks up, but Fafnir ends up taking BBQ or BBQ Ham, BB Ham Q, and double kill to Fafnir there. So a lot of the game has just descended into chaos.
We've been here. We've not only been here. We have a summer home in chaos. Like we are very familiar with chaos here in the Draft League. But you're not wrong. It is absolute this is what I like to call the hex bug theorem of players. Sometimes, you kind of just set them down. For every guys who don't aware, hex bug is like a huge 2000s toy where they have like little batteries and motors and they just kind of vibrate places. They're not like, they don't have intention about where they're going, but they just kind of keep moving until they bump into each other. That's where we are right now. They're just all the players just moving around, and occasionally they're just going to bump into each other and a fight will ensue.
Yeah, we have another fight here from Fafnir, forcing Flash and Barrier by a Whittle Griefer. And a Whittle Griefer is then able to dodge the Ash Arrow, so, wow, that was, yeah, Gwen is a cool champ.
Kind of like split the choice there. Didn't go for either, but kind of went trying to go for both with the Ash Arrow. Doesn't end up hitting anything. Whoa! I was gonna say the Storm
Surge proc.
Oh man, that's rough.
I was gonna say I'm not sure I love the fact that that UwU are just lining up for this 5v5 fight. So you know what? Make it a 4v5 fight. It's easy.
That's one way to deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, UwU certainly much more alive this game than they were in the last. They do have a reasonable gold lead at the moment, just about 2.5, 2.6. Obviously, the vast majority of that is on the Whittle Griefer. This Gwen is still terrifying.
Bot lane, that's a dead Zyra. Whittle Griefer 2v1 in the bot side, looking for Cryptonic and Sakura Kai. Don't know if they're going to have the damage for this one.
No,
there's the first kill. Oh, the region's just insane!
Like you have fully stacked Conqueror, you have Riftmaker. There's so much healing. There's no heal cut.
I just realized there's no Bramble Vest on the Scion.
Yeah,
Fafnir is dead.
Oh no,
that Ash is beyond gone. Good night, and I think you're gonna have another friend going down the river Styx.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
It's so hard to gank a Gwen. And that whole fight, like initially when Sakura Kai and Cryptonic were engaging on to the Gwen, I was watching the Gwen ult because I saw it was almost up, and so it was a question of whether she'd get it up before they were able to kill her. Because if she did, which she in fact did, that she just clears that, and it just Fafnir there trying to maybe collapse there, getting caught then in the jungle. Yeah, then with that, UwU have earned themselves a Baron.
Yeah, I mean, their gold lead continues to balloon at this point. They're just about 6k. Very well positioned. And I think one thing that we haven't been talking about a lot, we talked about a little bit, is how explosive mid lane damage is in this game. The Lux is absolutely capable of blowing up Fafnir, blowing up Want Marriage, but in return you also see Elena get punished really hard by Bestie, right? The capability for the squishies to just evaporate is extremely high on both sides.
Yeah, not only do you have so many squishies, but you really don't have anyone that's... Both supports desire blood. They desire violence. There are no Lulu, Karma, Tahm Kench, oh, let me help you out there, friend, kind of champs. They are, I'm going to kill you and everyone you've known. That is the motto here. Speaking of which, Elena is going to be on the receiving end of one of those, I think. Ooh, good flash.
Yeah, nice flash.
Bad roots.
This is... Yeah, the directed camera is just going to save us from watching whatever's going on there. They do end up picking Elena down there.
Yeah.
But
I like the move, though. I very much like the move here from top. They don't go try to save Elena. They just say, okay, you got your bot side, we got our top side. By the way, we have Baron plus 5 grubs. See if we care. Unfortunate that Elena has to go down there, but I think still a good play for top.
UwU, yeah.
UwU. The red team, the snippies. Yeah.
Oh wait, Ash Arrow going out? Okay.
Ash Arrow does miss. But I guess on the other side though, for top, I do like their macro decision to go and try and get a pick in the sideline because, it's unfortunate. Yeah, they lose a tier 2, but realistically, that tier 2 is dead whether or not they're there to defend it.
I think I might disagree with you there, but go on. Sorry.
Well, one of the big things, it's a Lux, and Lux is one of the key champions for sieging, and it just slows down their ability to tempo and snowball the game a little bit, because yeah, it makes it a 4v4, but with one less member, they're gonna presumably be feeling a little worse about like trying to take some random 4v4.
Yeah. And this is the beauty of League Analysis. You ask 3 different people, you're going to get 3 different answers. But if you ask them whether Kryptonic Killer is dead, you're probably going to get the same answer. And I think that answer might be yes. Oh, or it could be right.
Kaisa ult flash. Okay. Oh, but the flash from the Kaisa there to pick it up in the end. And then Gwen is immune. Gwen is immune.
I mean, honestly, if I'm false
that.
in that situation, yeah, that's definitely worth, right? You're able to kill Kryptonic Killer, you're able to kill the enemy jungler right before Dragon is coming up, next 20 seconds. So be well positioned to just start that and burn it down.
About to say, if anything, I'd actually be expecting top here to launch and engage. With Woodweaver split off into the mid lane, they have the 3v3 advantage with all their tools, I think, but you're right, that is going to allow now for Dragon number 3. And this hasn't been the quickest Dragon stacking in the world for UwU, but now you're looking at a potential... We said before, right, that the stocks on, blowing people up from way over there are pretty high. Mm-hmm. Imagine Lux 35 minutes into the game, Fire Dragon Soul. You can kiss your health bar goodbye.
Yeah, we saw it once already with Fafnir dying to the Storm Surge proc. We almost saw it again a couple of minutes ago. Fafnir like limping away with maybe like 5% HP after Storm Surge procs. You factor in an Infernal Soul into that damage, and yeah, Ashe is dead, right? And
very correct. Like, I'm curious. I'm curious if. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying, if you're top in this situation, like, you're extremely worried right now because the damage isn't going down anytime soon.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that top need to be doing is they need to be, and this is almost kind of the point I was going to make with the Lux pick. I think what top needs to be doing right now is really shoring up their own defensive line, because they have so many pick tools right now, and it's very clear top are behind. What they need to do right now is they need to wait for somebody on the side of UwU to miss position and then just fire all the lasers. You got Ashe ultimate, you've got Vi ult, you have the existence of Scion. And I think if you form that defensive line and then find one of these squishy members when they're on your side of the map, you can turn it into something positive. Watt Marriage is dead. Here it is. Here's another Rumble in the top lane.
Oh, they are engaging really hard onto a little Griefer. He does throw out his Zanyas and dodge like everything. Now, will he go down? So much healing from that Gwen. I don't even know how to cast this fight anymore.
I think you did it perfectly. Honestly, the level of not sure what to do, I think it perfectly captures where we are right now for top. And that is the danger of picking the Scion here. Is and this comes down to the nature of Draft League. It's not just about who can play the best. It's about who can utilize the strengths inherent in their own team. Obviously, yes, Woodweaver is about 1k LP above Sakura-Kai. We're not expecting Sakura-Kai to really bash us here, but it's playing around those advantages. And I think in this game in particular, and it was different in game 1, and that's exactly the beauty of Draft. But in this game, I think that UwU have done a much better job about playing around their major threat than top has, unfortunately. And it's also what we said earlier. How do you play with a split pusher? Oh, just get the rest of the team fed. Look at the Kaisa. The Kaisa is popping right now. Elena is killing things by looking at them. It is a very dangerous comp to be playing against right now. Not to mention when they're 12k gold in the lead, 2 minutes for Dragon Solon. Just as in game number 1, you're kind of thinking about game 2, those last few minutes of the match for UwU. I think top might be doing just about the same thing right now. Short of a massive misplay from UwU, it looks like they got this one not quite in the bag, but about to enter the bag.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're top in this situation, I think you're absolutely thinking about game 3. Like the one way I can somehow imagine things turning around for you at this point is managing to combo like Scion ult and Zyra ult and get like 4 or 5 man knockups off of both of them and playing off of that CC and being capable of blowing up the carries, like that's it. That is your one 0.01% chance of happening scenario, and that also needs to happen like 3 more times after the first one. Like it's an extremely daunting position that top are facing because there's not much that they can work with, as we've already said, right? Like
goodbye, half of Fafnir's HP bar.
And you already see the Lux ult is almost half off cooldown. Right? Like, there is nothing that you can do right now. You are hoping for a massive mistake to be made.
Yeah, and we just have another fight here while they're trying
He's
to
cutting
defend
through
the inhibitor.
Sakurakai like he's not even there.
And Sakurakai is itemized only MR, by the way. Right? There is a shred of armor with the Bramble Vest, but that's not super duper meaningful. Like, Gwen is still fully capable of annihilating the Scion, even with all that MR being built, and that's almost certainly going to be the game.
Yeah,
it was... Go for it.
Well, the one advantage that top have now going in is they do not have to face a Widow Guifer's Gwen. And a Widow Guifer did not be a Widow Guifer this game. So.
Yeah, they got it out of the system right now. They had the one Guif. Now they're hidden.
There's the caveat to that, right? You draft me, I will run it down 1 game per series. There you go. The other games played out. And you can see that in the damage charts too. Like Widow Griefer, like just completely dominated the game.
Yeah, and I do want to point out here that it wasn't just a Widow Guifer winning. I think it was a combination. Widow Guifer was very much set up there with the composition and with just the players going into it. They were set up to win that lane, and I think that there was almost this midway response of like, do we deal with in the top side? Well, we sent Fi and unfortunately gave first blood. Do we play away from it? Well, we didn't really. We just kind of kept... Once the Gwen got ahead, we almost fought everything around the Gwen. We didn't try to find our advantage. The headline for this game for me has definitely got to be top plays UwU's game. UwU wanted the game to be all about the Gwen, and unfortunately for top, they kind of made it all about the Gwen. And I think, like I said, UwU just played their comp better this game.
Yeah. And, really building on top of what you just said, no pun intended. In game 1, is the kind of the opposite case, right? The Silas was still extremely dangerous, but top didn't worry as much about the Silas. They worried more about getting things done elsewhere on the map, and it worked out really well for them this time. As you said, Stevie, they played exactly into what UwU wanted, and UwU got exactly what they wanted out of
it. Exactly.
Yeah, and all in all, it was a really nice turnaround, I think. A different look from UwU there to take game 2. And with that, we're going to be looking at game 3 shortly, so don't go anywhere. We're going to go on a quick break.
The brisk, chilling air is calling, and out there we're free to run and jump and live so wildly. Head first we'll go tumbling through places unknown, with nothing but the stars to light our way. And though the sun may set at night, tomorrow looks so bright. 'Cause home is when you're by my side. No matter what we do, together we'll see it through. And I hope that we won't drift apart, even though things change. Without you it's not the same. I know it's true. Life's better when it's me and you.
Welcome back here to Game 3 between UwU and Top. Here, we are already in draft with Top on blue side, UwU on red, and Top have elected to B1 Seraphine.
Interesting. I think the biggest thing from last game's draft is that Top, they had a really good competition to force plays wherever they wanted to. They just kept forcing them on top side and let Widowweaver turn a small lead into a massive one. I'd like to see them focus a bit more on the bot side of the map. Seraphine's an interesting one for me. Curious, again, that's a nice flex pick. I'm curious to see where it goes.
Yeah, I mean, Seraphine can be, tri-flexed, right? You can run Seraphine support, you can run Seraphine as a bot carry, you can run Seraphine mid. As far as like both of these teams are concerned, like both teams like playing it. I think UwU would be a bit more flexible with it, like based on the short research that I did. But obviously, you can run that champion anywhere. That being said, I think UwU is still on the red side. They like to lock in Ziggs, Viego. I'm gonna assume that Ziggs is also going to be mid, but once again, like you've been seeing Ziggs show up bot lane. Ziggs is obviously still the relevant mid. So both of these teams have have drafts that can go different places so far. Jinx though,
she only goes less places that can go. Yeah. Jinx will be interesting. Interesting to see. Also, we are on the new patch, I believe 14.19. So our Lord and Savior Lethal Tempo is returned. Not quite as good as it once was, but it's back. Skarner. Okay, so already Top picking some things that can really control that front line. I like this Skarner so much more than I like the Scion. I understand that's like a jungle versus top lane. Skarner has a lot of ability to control the fight in front of them, whereas Scion is just kind of a meatball that hopes you can't get past.
Yeah.
So already like some of the adaptations here. Reminder that we are on quote unquote true fearless here from Rizzo, which means all 20 of those champions cannot be that you see below our names cannot be picked by either team. So we might have to get a little deep into some of these champion pools to find what we're looking to play. Ooh, Nautilus continuing the ruthless aggression out from the UwU support.
Yeah,
interesting.
I like what that brings, right? Is even if people go Ziggs bot, right? Nautilus has
Yeah.
so much CC that you can just combo all of Ziggs' abilities with it, and it looks like it will be a Ziggs bot lane with the Orianna lock.
I know what the top lane pick is for UwU. This has to be a Camille top lane. This has to be a Camille top lane. This has to be a Camille top lane.
I mean, you did
It's
say that Little Griefer, and I do believe Camille is one of the champions they play quite a bit, right?
I originally behind the scenes here when Banana True and I were talking, I was like, I think it's gonna be Renekton top lane, which it still could be. But when you're looking at what combos well, what keeps you in position for Ziggs, what could you put an Orianna ultimate on top of,
Ooh.
Camille immediately jumps off the screen to me. Ari pick up in the mid lane should force Seraphine Jinx towards the bottom side. Ziggs Nautilus also going to be on the bottom side, so that's a lot of shielding for the poke that Ziggs can put out. So I'm not super afraid of the bot side for top. What do we pick in the top lane to deal with Guifer? Poppy would be my money, but I don't know if that's what they play. Set going to
I
be
was
the
going
answer.
to say, I think it's going to be Set, because if you go down Sakura Kai's most played champions, you already saw the first two. You saw Nara, you saw Sion. Set is the third, and that's what they elect to go with.
Yeah, and with a set pickup, I don't know top lane matchups that well. I think that is a difficult lane for Camille, but we get an Olaf.
Okay, didn't have that one on my bingo card. Interesting. Well,
I don't hate it.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think that Olaf is a pretty good pick here for red side, because
yeah.
that you just put an Orianna ball, you press Orianna W to speed him up, and he just ult ghosts right onto that Jinx Seraphine. And to be honest, with the Ziggs ult on top of that, they're just gonna die. They're just dead. And the thing is, you can't peel an ulting Olaf, because he's immune to all CC.
Mm-hmm. As long as he's hitting you, he's ulting. Like, he maintains his alteration. So,
Yeah.
you do have the possibility for a Little Griefer to really just run rampant. I think the other thing that you really want to keep in mind is not necessarily like a full-blown 5v5 potential, but skirmishes especially are things that Olaf can be completely dominant in. Also, just thinking about lane, right? I think it's not something that people will talk about often, but the terror of getting hit by an undertow and Olaf just essentially walking you down and autoing you the entire time is extremely frustrating to deal with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but go ahead.
Yeah. It's definitely going to be very tricky, though I do think they have some tools to potentially deal with it. Obviously, number one thing you'd want is some sort of hard barrier that Olaf can't get through, or some sort of relocation in order to keep the Jinx safe. Failing that, heals plus movement speed can help you kite the Olaf around. And this is now going to have to be a very coordinated team fight for UwU, because the second Jinx gets one reset on that passive, she's going to be too quick. I think Jinx legitimately is going to be able to outkite an Olaf with the Seraphine should they find a kill. And that now turns into, are UwU going to be disciplined with how they engage? Is Viego or potentially Nautilus going to drop before Olaf can find the way in? Additionally, Olaf doesn't have a hard CC or a gap closer, so they're going to have to find a way around the flanks to start these fights, which could in itself be a bit of a tricky situation to find. I like the concept of this fight. I just need to see that UwU can actually pull it off on the Rift.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing to keep in mind, and this is a couple of patches ago now, but one thing that we've been talking about that adds safety to this Jinx is the Seraphine, and the most recent change that she had 2 patches ago was a nerf specifically to her shielding and to her W. The cooldown is like 22 seconds flat now, and the shielding is, I don't want to say significantly worse, but it is noticeably weaker at max rank, 20 lower base value. So definitely, like, your point of reference for Seraphine can be a bit more worrisome if you haven't played her in a bit. That being said, it's something that you can work around. Um, The other thing that's also worth considering, at least as far as recency goes, is just that the itemization changes that happen with this patch tend to have been a bit more favorable towards enchanter supports, so that can still work out, at least as far as top is concerned.
Yeah, well, but I guess with that, any thoughts, predictions for the game 3?
This is tough.
Yeah. I guess if I have to throw something out there, I honestly kind of like the competition coming out from top. Just knowing how that last game went, I don't think we really saw anything that can reasonably be described as slow, structured gameplay. I think it's going to be real, real brawly, real skirmishy, real crazy early on. I think there are some strong members from UwU that can do some stuff in the early game. Viego, Oriana, Olaf all come to mind. However, I think if they can scrap in places that is not top lane. Oh, I think I just fuck.
That being said, true.
Here we go.
You wanna?
Oopsies.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Hey guys. Sorry, been having some mic issues on and off. Either way, I long story short, I like top. I think that they're going to be able to find that kind of skirmishy early game. I think the team fight for UwU might just be a little too complicated to pull off.
Yeah, I think that's a really fair assessment. I'm very interested to see what is going to happen in this early game with this Olaf. Like, if Olaf can have an ideal early to mid game and that transitions really well, then UwU should be really well positioned to, have a strong like mid to late. The only thing that I would be worried about in that regard is just this Jinx, right? Because we have talked about it. If Jinx is able to stay alive, especially headed into mid game, headed into late game, you get one reset and you can kind of dictate how the rest of that fight will go.
Yeah, and I know for me, I like the points that you made, Diggs TV, but I'm gonna say I think Olaf 1v9s this game, so I'm going UwU all the way. Now, which actually flips my predictions because I think I predicted top to win 2-1 initially, but here we are. And so with that, I guess we're gonna go to a quick break while we get into game 3, so don't go anywhere. And welcome back, everyone, here to game 3. I know I had a brief thing here, but we should be able to see. We already start off with a bit of an invade here, although top do spot it out with a nicely placed ward in the tri-bush.
It's the first rule of Nautilus Club. When you're in Nautilus Club, you invade. Fine idea behind it, but heads up thinking from UwU are going. Heads up thinking from top are going to prevent them from falling prey to this time-tested strategy.
Yeah, and like it's just about maintaining awareness, right? Like, obviously you could just try to 5-point it out and spot it, but it's also not worth trouble. Just throw the ward down, and yeah, they'll ward your jungle as they walk in, but it's a lot better than losing a summoner or worse dying. So, good decisions all around. But as far as setup goes, I think the one thing that I'm curious about is just the grasp on jungle Skarner. I have not seen a Skarner in a hot second. I'm not entirely confident how often you're going to be proccing grasp early. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I am completely open to being wrong about that. But even then, I'm a little bit dubious towards it.
Yeah, I think that last I looked up the runes for Jungle Skarner, it was saying Grasp. Even just recently with all the patch changes, but
Yep.
like you, I don't know. I'm not a jungler. I'm not paid enough to have an opinion on that really.
Yeah, no, I think a quick check of ProBuildStats.com would agree, but again, like, I think it's very early days in the patch. I don't know if there's really a right way to, and I very much understand where, yeah, I'm not sure how many times you're really going to proc that. Already fighting in the top
Oh,
side. Who could have seen
wow.
this coming?
Yeah, I mean that's what I was talking about, right? You eat undertow after undertow. Like the caveat for that for Olaf early on is you will burn through your mana bar if you constantly throw your axe. But it's a whole ton of early damage. Sakurai pays for it with flash, and obviously, Little Griefer does burn the ghost, but that's not as consequential of a cooldown.
Yeah, speaking of summoner spells, I do want to point out that this is a flash ghost Olaf. A lot of Olafs will either go flash TP or ghost TP. UwU is going all in on the mobility, which is going to be super sink or swim. Because if that extra summoner spell nets you the kill, that's huge. But if it does not, if you end up going down that lane, you no longer have the TP to recover from a bad lane state. So UwU is putting all the chips on the table here.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, after that last game, I can kind of understand that, right? You, like, kind of flying high after that last one, feeling very confident towards it. That being said, Sakurai could still be in trouble. Able to walk it out.
He does set up a freeze though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it looks like Skarner is topside, but so is Viego, and they might have a little meetup here.
You guys got the level
no.
advantage.
He
Yeah.
does. He's been clearing, but Skarner does go through the wall, and it looks like he'll be able to get away nicely. But that is, so far this early game is going in favor of UwU.
Yeah, I mean, small advantages, but that's also not terribly surprising considering where it's been. I will say, bot lane, Fafnir, Want Marriage, they were doing reasonably well for themselves, getting a lot of damage down onto Stonewall at level 1. But we did see something that's just nice about Skarner in general, just being able to transition out of a bad situation by running through the wall.
That is a nice route from Seraphine, but it doesn't look like it's going to mount to anything. And poor Sakurai here, he might,
Oh.
almost goes down there.
Oh,
to
one more
minions.
Q.
I was gonna say, like,
He does get the
Oh, the
level up.
level!
No.
Not
Not good
enough.
enough. Oh, no.
A little griefer. Oh,
The
Kryptonic Killer almost dies as well.
Oh, Guardian. Guardian
Wow,
heal.
yeah, this game just kind of blew open. But Bestie there looks like may get something. Not quite able to get anything though onto the Orianna. And Kryptonic Killer is still level 3, almost 5 minutes in. Very tragic. Just ding level 4 as I speak, but.
Yeah, they missed the Gromp in the top side clear, which is a little bit dictated by the top side. Oh, the Scepter Charge blows him out of the hook! Oh, the anti-synergy. Oh, you hate to see it.
Yeah, but still Jinx forced to flash, so.
True.
Yeah.
There's still that. It's not a complete waste of time, I guess, but from Viego.
Yeah, you just watch it and you kind of just facepalm mentally because you just know that both of them are thinking like, ah, crap,
Ah, nuts.
Yeah, like that is not how that play was going in their heads.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate, especially with the investment of BB Ham Q's time. Not really been the fastest jungle tempo from either jungler this game. A lot of time stopping, making little pit stops in those side lanes. So far, mid lane, the only one yet to receive a little bit of TLC from either jungler. But here's where things get a little bit funky. Void Grubs have spawned. UwU is now level 6 in the top side. Going to be looking for the all-in right now.
Yep,
Or at least to hurt him.
Forcing the set away from the wave, and now I think a Little Griefer is probably going to set up a freeze here, and this is a really dangerous spot for Set to be in, because he can't walk up to hit the wave now.
Yeah, and he doesn't have Flash. UwU has the ultimate plus Ghost plus Flash. The question is, are they going to figure out that Kryptonic Killer is actually on this Herald?
Looks
Hard
like
to
are
say.
gonna figure
It looks
out
like
too.
BB Ham Q is checking. He sees it going. Kryptonic does end up getting 2 Void Grubs, but will he be able to get out? It doesn't look
to
like
flash
it, with
for
a
it, no.
nice rotate up from Stonewall there to secure the kill
Yeah.
and get, I guess the 3rd Void Grub for UwU there.
Yeah, it's a bit of a silly herald, I think, from the red side jungler there. Stonewall under the tower trying to find that play. 13 Sin, no charm to keep him under, thankfully. But typically you want neutral objectives to be started by a certain advantage you have on the map. Well, 13 looking for the kill onto Elena.
Is the flash out?
Oriole whiffs!
This is... Oh no, but the minions cooking
the
up.
pullback!
The return on REQ does end up
Yeah, but
picking
now-
up Elena there.
But now
yeah,
Widowweaver looking for play on Surakai in the top lane. Ultimate still available for Widowweaver. Not going to blow it, though.
I'm a little surprised Little Beecher didn't blow ult there. I would have expected him to, because I think he would have had a kill then. I think they would have had a kill.
Yeah, especially, because Set ults himself right there.
Yeah.
We were talking about getting that advantage early in top lane and transitioning it really, really well. It's not to say that Will Reaper isn't doing that, right? Because you take a look at CS alone and, ooh,
Yeah, it's over double CS already.
it is cresting on triple,
Yeah, this is a sustainable advantage for Widowweaver. He does not... Widowweaver, sorry, they do not need a kill in order to win the lane. As long as they just keep the lane as it is, they're going to continue winning this lane until something changes with this lane.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so far, it seems like my prediction for the Olaf just 1v9ing, it's possible to be true.
It's
we'll
the
have
step
to
one
see.
is complete. Step
Yeah.
one of Olaf being fed, certainly landing here. We'll have to see what that transition is going to look like, because that is just where so many teams in this league will live or die.
No.
Speaking of dying,
No.
Oh no, Sakura-kai was not expecting Olaf to get back so fast, and then it just dies to his all-out. But a nice serving ult there onto False, and nice gank, I guess, from Kryptonic here. Looks like it's gonna pick up a double kill. Unfortunately, none of the kills went to Jinx, which is what you really need to start looking to do now for if you're on the side of top, I think.
It's a bit tragic, but still, it's some wind in your sails, right? That top lane was always going to be rough, especially after game number 2. Like after game number 2, you already know it's hard, right? Game number 1, you already do, but now you're looking at the situation. Top lane is falling further and further behind. You do need a little bit of a pick me up, and we were talking about playing your own game, right? Don't worry too much about the Olaf. If it happens, it happens. Make a play somewhere else, get an advantage elsewhere, and it kind of looks like the top is starting to play towards that, right? The Ahri does have a kill lead, a little bit of a CS lead, but bot lane critically, stacking up gold as far as farm goes. A little bit of assist gold for Jinx, kill gold for Seraphine.
oh no.
I mean, we're gonna say oh no a lot whenever we pan up here. It's not pretty. It's not pretty.
Oh wait, here comes the roam though. Best 13 on the Ahri is maybe looking topside to help out Widowweaver. And help out Sakura-kai. Widowweaver does not have the ultimate, but they do have a jungler, which in some ways is even better. Is it gonna start? Go ahead.
Well, I'm gonna be honest. I think your initial statement, "help a little griefer," would be more accurate here, because I've been here as Ahri. Although a Kryptonic killer is there, engaging nicely onto the Viego. The Viego is definitely someone I think they can pick up.
Late
Little
TP.
Griefer going in though, and a Viego does end up picking up Sakura-kai. Although a nice stun from Kryptonic to stop Viego from getting the possession, and the TP was really good from False there.
Rocket.
Yeah, Jinx Rocket, they are chasing down,
Widow's
trying
out
to
of
get
mana.
this kill. I think they got him. They do. Well, that was a nice collapse, I think, by UwU there.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's directly opposite of the advice we gave. I don't know why the players aren't listening to us. It's crazy. They're making top lane the focal point of the game, and yes, that would have been a very nice play had they come out on top. You know that the strong point of UwU is the 3-kill Olaf, and somewhat disrespectfully, sure, that's like a 50-50 coin flip. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But if it doesn't, it's gonna hurt. And if you thought Olaf was unplayable before against before, Olaf's got a stride breaker. Good luck. Stonewall's
Yeah.
reward.
By contrast, Set has 2 longswords and boots.
That's a
Yeah, this
that's like
is-
yeah.
It's just bad. It's horrible to be in this position as Set.
No, there's no way we're pulling a grub fight when Olaf is still topside.
No.
What are we doing?
Oh no, and it's a 2. Well, it's currently 3v3, but Olaf, surely he has ult, right?
Okay. so
Yeah,
you got
whoa,
one.
wait, they end up. I guess Kryptonic.
Oh, here
and-
come the
and
reinforcements.
Best-
Just wait.
Oh, that's true. Kryptonic does get a nice Skarner ult to pull them aside, but Olaf just runs straight onto the Seraphine. Ziggs picks up a nice kill.
Oh!
That was a nice undertow there or undertow, just the axe. I think undertow is
Yeah,
his
it's
plus
undertow.
E. Oh, it's
It's undertow.
undertow, okay.
It is Undertow. You are right.
Okay,
E is
that-
called Reckless Swing.
Reckless swing, okay. That's, for some reason I thought that it was flipped around, but that is okay. And Ziggs ult onto the bot lane to make sure Jinx doesn't get too much more. That is the one nice thing about having a Ziggs. You can teleport around the map and press ult to clear waves.
Yeah. But yeah, like getting back to the Olaf, right? Like this is exactly what we said Top wanted to avoid. Right? Like why are we fighting when the Olaf is still really strong? Why are we giving Olaf the opportunity to have, these disjointed like early skirmishes or early fights where the Olaf will run rampant, will absolutely run people down, will absolutely kill you, and it's horrible. It's
Let's fight the ball
catastrophic.
in here.
So for
If Stonewall forced to flash away, this might be a moment where Top can get a couple kills here to maybe try to bring themselves back in the
Starter
game.
Oh.
Kryptonic does pick up the Nautilus, but again, this Jinx is 0-3. It's looking so rough.
Yeah, if you're Fafnir at this moment, you're getting a little bit sad, right? Like there have been 3 opportunities for you to get kill gold, and every single one of them has slipped by. Not intentionally, I'm sure, but it's just kind of tilting because you're well aware. You're well aware that you really want that gold. Like we've talked about how Jinx might be Top's avenue.
Oh no. Oh, Sakura-kai looks like is forced to flash there.
Doesn't matter, I think.
Oh, it may not. Oh, okay. Well, Olaf
It didn't.
just does.
Spoiler
end up
warning.
picking up the kill.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm the Fafnir, I think there may be a few other things tilting me in this game more than the lack of kills. First name Olaf, second name top lane. But
Oh, that was a
I don't know, I
nice
think
arm.
ooh,
Wait, that might be a dead BBQ. Oh, he is forced to ult away. Of course, Bestie is trying to go in, collect the kill. Not quite able to. Forcing the Nautilus ult, but Skarner is here to come in and nice Skarner ult. But Nautilus hooks back in and he ends up being the sacrificial lamb to make sure the rest of his team gets away. Jinx is excited, looking to go forward, but no more kills to be had. And meanwhile, a Whittle Griefer was taking top tier 2.
You guys, don't look at the gold difference, guys.
yeah, don't
Don't do it.
avert your eyes. I would like to ask a question. Does Jinx have Essence Reaver?
Okay, so
Yes.
this is something that is actually being discussed a bit more. And this is also I think this is more relevant now because after the changes, Collector is such a bad buy. I know that Riot has said like, okay, we want like the core to be, I think, what was it, Yuntal, IE, and I can't remember what the last item was, but it might have been like Kraken, something of that sort. But
Yeah.
the discussion around getting Essence Reaver early for Jinx is something that more people have been discussing because it pretty much means that you'll be able to perma rocket, and with Lethal Tempo being back in the game, it makes that feel much more usable. But it's still early on in the patch, so I'm not sure if this is going to be like the super relevant build. But speaking of super relevant, Whittle Griefer.
He's just sitting there 1v2
Faf and
now.
Want Marriage could come over.
There's nothing Oh yeah, and he tanks the Skarner.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter.
So, yeah, this is just.
It might matter.
Oh, does it though? He's still
No.
immune, and
It
he
doesn't
goes
matter.
on to Jinx,
doesn't
now on to
matter.
Want Marriage. It doesn't matter.
No.
This is what I was scared of when I saw the Olaf pick.
No.
Oh, but Jinx is playing
No,
well.
you're so
Paul's able. He's so close to keep picking him up, but not quite. And now Vestia, a new challenger, approaches. Does get the
Ooh.
1K shutdown, but is able to pick up Ziggs. Does get Ziggs.
too.
Does get a nice reset. Maybe.
John wins.
Oh. Not quite. Oh, but
Wait, one more shot.
BB Hamq does. If he didn't take that possession, I think he's just walks out and he's fine.
Yeah. But when you
Unfortunate.
when you see it, right? Like you're obligated. I think that's in the Viego contract.
Oh yeah, it's like the
Yeah.
Lee Sin Qs or the
It's the
snowballs on
unspoken
ARAM.
rule. Right.
Just if you land it, you have to take it.
It's actually in the manifesto. If you don't take it, it's at least a 2-week suspension.
If you saw a bag of money on the ground, just out there, you would take it.
It's in the law. You have to take it. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's discovery fee, right? Like you get it.
So
All yours.
I am going to attempt a magic trick here. I'm going to attempt to tell you how Top could still win this game.
Okay.
This might take a bit of a stretch, but I will say Olaf is one person.
No, as we're
Yeah.
talking, this is a good way for them to potentially get back
Oh.
in. Missing the Skarner ult was not quite it, but
That
was a
was
good
part of the
attempt.
plan. Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing. Olaf is one person with no TP. It's hard for them to get around the map. If they can consistently find fights and then turn around and maybe put 2 people on Olaf to make sure he can't take the rest of the game, it's winnable. Like, Seraphine Jinx will scale as a team fight combo, and Best 13 has been doing a pretty good job so far. Watch Widow Weaver. He's looking to come in from the bottom flank here. Don't think that they've been seen yet.
yeah,
This feels dangerous.
It does, but I do like the idea that you're saying, and I think, like, to be quite honest, the best person right now to match the Olaf is the Ahri, because I think she can then just wave clear against him, and like you said, Olaf doesn't have TP, so...
Where is Skarner right now?
Oh,
On an
he's
adventure.
not where he wants to be. I don't think Want Marriage was where they wanted to be either, but meanwhile we have the Ahri and the
Oh, dear.
set down bot line trying to take out the Olaf, and Skarner is just getting caught. This is not looking good for the side of top.
Yeah.
Skarner is going into all chat right now and being like, "Thank you for the procs." All
I'm
playing.
about to say three Heartsteel procs may have been the prize.
We're
Dragon
Who
scaling.
cares about? Who cares about
scaling.
single Cloud Drake?
Ladies and
Yeah,
gentlemen, we're scaling. Yeah, it's getting tricky. To say the least. There's like, and we get so close, and we're seeing like theoretical angles that Blue Side can get back into this game. Because again, here's the biggest thing: without all of the wild team fighting tools, it is harder for Red Side here to take an Olaf advantage. And to be fair, right now it is exclusively an Olaf advantage. Down to the 80 carry position, actually, Fafnir does have an advantage over False of about 500 gold, 600 gold, which, again, it's not massive, but given the overall gold difference, it's pretty solid. Mid lane, 600 gold advantage for the Ahri over the opposition. Don't look at the other 3 rolls. And also don't look at where Fafnir goes.
Oh!
That was a heroic Nautilus hook there. Really extended the
Uh,
range as much as he could. Fafnir does end up running to Skarner. Skarner
Want Marriage
does
on the
pull them
flank
away
here.
into a nice Seraphine ult, catching both the Nautilus and the Ziggs. Kryptonic there
There's
pulling
no
the
damage,
Nautilus
though.
back further. There is no damage. Kryptonic does pick up Stonewall, but does drop to the Ziggs. But most importantly, I think Jinx survived a little bit.
Dear.
Bestie, though, might just go down, does go down to the Orianna. And yeah, so what? I don't know, this game, we have Rift Herald rolling down the mid lane, piloted by a Widow Weaver. And, yeah.
It's so close. Like, every single one of these engagements, it's obviously Fafnir getting picked off is nowhere near optimal. It's not even the same dictionary. But But like if Blue side just did one thing cleaner every single fight, like there's a chance they have giant team fight shifting ultimates.
Completely different landscape.
Exactly, the Skarner plus the Seraphine like can easily turn a fight on their own if they just like made sure they had damage to follow that up and did not get picked off before a fight. They still have the tools to win this despite the disadvantage, but that window is shrinking every single time they misplay here.
Mm-hmm. Like, that Nautilus hook is so scary for Fafnir at this point, right? Like, last time, the Jinx benefited from the fact that Death Charge was still down, right? Death Charge is up in that situation, Jinx dies 100% of the time.
Ooh, here's the Baron
Coming up
start.
Baron. And they have to know this is happening, right? Like,
It's so hard for them to do anything about it, though, because you have Stonewall there being a Stonewall, and slowing
They don't
them
have
down.
Fafnir.
no
This is a
damage.
skill attempt. They need to leave except for the jungler.
Jinx
Lot of
Rocket could
damage.
go hard. Wait, Ziggs is gonna go down to Baron.
Oh, no.
Alana
Alana
dead.
does get charmed, does die, but the Baron
Only for the
is
secure,
gone
I
because
think,
they
yeah.
were able to take out the Skarner.
Yeah, and here's the thing, again, with the coordination issues, if they had waited for Fafnir, or if Fafnir never backed in the first place and was just there at the fight, there was a solid chunk. Oh, bye, Everyone wave goodbye to Fafnir. Fafnir is dead.
Goodbye, Fafnir.
There's nothing to be said about this.
Didn't even have to blow the Olaf ultimate, is
Solo
unfortunate.
ADC. And that's also why you see Fafnir doesn't burn a single summoner, right? Like, you know implicitly, like, the moment the
immediate.
Olaf shows up on your screen, it's over.
I can concede the Essence here, but there's no way that Essence into Runons is the correct here.
I'm not going to talk about that one.
Okay.
Like I know that Runons is something that, like, people like on Jinx as far as
Sakura?
fighting potential go. Whoa.
Cryptonic might be getting caught here.
Two separate
Olaf
fights.
is CC immune, forced to flash away. Maybe does dodge the undertow from Olaf. Meanwhile, he does seem to be getting beat up a bit. That's a lot of damage from Set.
Jinx Rocket!
There's a rocket. Oh,
Down!
And does get the shutdown
There it is.
onto Fafnir. That is exactly what you want if you are top. Bestie trying to get out. Oh, Cryptonic does go in here. I think Cryptonic might go down to Oriana. Yep.
yeah.
But might be able to catch something else from it. Want Marriage does pick up the kill.
Oh,
That does give
no.
Jinx an excited. Surely we give Fafnir this kill. Surely we give Fafnir this
Yeah,
kill.
there we go.
Okay.
And now here's the bot side. This is going to be an ace.
This
Oh, it's huge.
this is a massive gold swing for top. Now, granted, UwU did take, like, what was that, 4 turrets, I think, in
Yes,
the broad
it
scheme of
was
things.
a considerable amount of it was a considerable amount of resources that Blue Side just dropped there on that last play. But most importantly, they're going to get something back. Not only do they get kills into the likes of Fafnir, who's now sitting on 2k gold, they can get mid tower. So that's just another chunk of
And Dragon.
catching up gold. And Dragon here in a second, which not only is good to have, I mean, heck, taking a Winddrake out of Olaf and putting it into the Jinx, that's great. But it's also preventing a Dragon Soul for even longer now out from this red side. And I think Olaf's utility will be diminishing as this game continues. This game, I think, is on a clock, and it is not necessarily ticking in UwU's favor.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Like, we haven't discussed it quite yet, but Olaf is what I'd like to say is like a Cinderella champion, right? Clock hits a certain point, and the magic is kind of gone, and Olaf, like, is always going to be scary for squishies, sure, but the effectiveness as you start TV does scale downwards.
Cryptonic's in a bad situation. Here's Want Marriage.
Yeah, this is not where you want to be if you're this Seraphine or this Skarner. He's forced to ult and try to get away, and that's just 2 quick kills for UwU.
Okay, now what damage can UwU get done? Olaf, no ultimate is considerable, so it's going to be harder to get onto the Jinx. Good hook.
I wonder
This
though
is
if
technically a fight that's favored the other way.
I think so. Yeah, they can. I think they can just run down the Olaf now. I don't think he has an easy way to.
They can't
get...
overcommit for this fight though. They're gonna get pinched. They might die.
Oh no, the Jinx rocket mixes. Oh, but
Oh,
Fafnir
Jinx is
does
excited,
pick
though?
up his
Take a
heels,
fight!
excited.
Take a fight!
Go, 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 go! They just rocket after rocket
They're
after
false, they're
rocket.
false.
This might be that's a double kill already. A triple kill maybe? Triple kill, quadra kill. I think we have a
Quadra?
quadra kill coming in here. Unless, yes, So Jinx is able to clean up that fight. That was on a knife's edge.
Hey, I
Talk
don't know about
about-
you guys, but that clock looks like it's about to hit midnight if this keeps
Oh,
up.
man.
Woo! Now, and this is the thing. The game entirely depends on whether Widowgweaver has ultimate. If Widowgweaver has ultimate, they can run at Jinx, no questions asked. The second that is down, I don't know what Red Side does. Elena with the Oriented Shockwaves, it hasn't really been amazing. And no one else is carrying these fights. And here's the other thing. The only thing that Red Side can do after the Olaf is gone is chunk plays. They have Ziggs, they have Oriana. They don't have DPS. Jinx is the queen, the empress, if you will, of DPS. And yeah, it is all about, can you drop Fafnir, which is why I'm getting so animated about the positioning and the thing, because this game is now entirely on Fafnir's shoulders as far as damage in these fights go. Best 13 still can make massive plays, but this game now lives and dies on those Jinx.
Yeah, and like you said, the moment Olaf doesn't have ultimate, Jinx can completely dictate it. It's also why it was so tense to see Fafnir get that initial reset and look like start hitting the wave, like trying to run away. It's like, no, you win. You win. This is yours.
Nice charm.
Oh.
Doesn't amount to anything, unfortunately. Oh wait, did
Downtown!
Jinx get? Oh, just barely missed.
Ziggs does have a very small character model, so
Yeah,
Hard
less
hit
of
those.
less of a Kobe, a bit more of a Shaq there with the shot attempt downtown. But Widowgweaver is in the middle of no man's land, going to be able to walk away. But again, this is the kind of scenario where if you engage on Widowgweaver just to pop the ultimate, that can be insanely beneficial.
yes.
And this is not the same champion as Gwen, where you are unkillable for the duration of the game. They haven't actually been letting Widowgweaver play the side lane. Widowgweaver has not done that much additional damage in this game compared to what they've done in Game 2.
Yeah, I mean, ever since base has been cracked
Ooh.
open, right? Or
Fafnir
tossed-
also has IE now, finally. So that's damage. That's the item I've been waiting for. I've been waiting
Yeah.
either for an IE or a Kraken, and that's one of them. Kryptonic?
Oh, Kryptonic does sniff out the engage, but he
scary.
does get Nautilus hooked, and he gets only an ult onto Viego. Oh, but we have Olaf running in, and he does
Going for it,
he's able
gets
to take down Fafnir, and that might be wraps on this game. We'll have to
Ooh,
see
not-
what they get out of it, though.
Not yet. That's
Maybe,
all their
yeah.
resources now. They should get Baron for that. Fafnir's up in 20. The question is, do they go ahead and contest this, or do they say, look, we lost the Jinx, concede this Baron buff, we still can live to fight another day? But exactly, that was a good engage from Widowgweaver, finding their way onto Fafnir. And Fafnir also was without Flash and without Barrier, both of which should be fixed for next fight.
Yeah, and this is one moment where I do want to talk a bit about itemization here, because you can see that Want Marriage has Rylai's as well as Redemption. Like, neither of these are bad items for Seraphine, but specifically because of Olaf, you do want something like a Shurelya's, just so you can pop it to give Jinx the ability to maneuver, because Redemption does nothing. Olaf, like assuming that Olaf can kill Jinx before your Redemption heal goes through, which is extremely likely, Redemption does nothing. If you have Shurelya's and Jinx can run away from the Olaf and tick that ultimate out, much more useful.
Job number one for Seraphine has to be just ensuring Jinx's survival. And that's also where I got to say the Rylai's Crystal Scepter does nothing here too. It's good after that fact, but you need number one thing in the world is to keep Fafnir alive. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised there isn't like a Knight's Vow out here, maybe even from the Skarner. Just do literally everything you can to keep this Jinx alive.
Yeah, I mean, that's the game plan. And that's exactly what they should be playing towards. It's
There's her
it's
down.
not exactly what they've done so far with their itemization, but both teams, it's kind of tense, considering that this is going to be like the Soul Point drag. It's not the Soul.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good call from top to just peel back, be like, okay, you know what? They still have Baron buff. We don't need to commit for this. This isn't Soul yet. Let's not, throw ourselves into this.
Yeah, but now at this point, that has got to be, that's the last mulligan. You cannot give away another neutral objective after this for blue set. Kryptonic? Yeah, about to say, was fishing there a little bit, wondering if they had a Jinx or an Ari in the back pocket. Answer is no, so they're going to cha-cha slide through that wall. But yeah, it is now do or die time. They have the resources to do both, and it is exclusively going to be on how they take this next fight that determines which avenue they go down. Interesting to see False there with Olaf on that bot lane. And watch it here. Here's the flank from Kryptonic. They could be going around to initiate this fight. Marriage is in a terrible position.
That was a nice Seraphine ult into a really nice Burner ult, but I'm not sure if it can amount to much. We had a very underwhelming Orianna ult there, only catch one person, but Fafnir is not able to really participate.
I think that's it.
Getting a nice Nautilus ult onto the Ahri, Set trying to just be a frontline there, but I'm not sure Fafnir can hold this anymore.
No, Fafnir just was not an element of that last fight. Want Marriage is up in 18. Question is, do Red Side push for the end here? Stonewall is going to grab the wave. Widowweaver is doing the same on mid lane. They need to cut these wave. 10 seconds on Want Marriage, and Fafnir is still alive with both summoners. It'd be risky to dive, but you got to do something right here, right now. BB on the bot lane, looking around for Fafnir. Fafnir trying to pepper in the damage, but now the Nexus is exposed. 13. He's got to do something, but it's just DPS on the Nexus, and there it goes. Comeback denied. Big win for UwU.
Yep. At the end of the day, the Olaf was able to find those angles onto the Seraphine and the Jinx, access the backline, and just wreak havoc, prevent them from being able to do their job and, just stay safe, close out the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, like getting into the nitty-gritty about itemization, which is also, I think, not necessarily what we need to do, right? But like the gold that's allocated, the gold that's allocated to Rylai's can be like better spent towards, let's say, a Knight's Vow, let's say a Shirelia's, like these items that really serve to, put the eggs in the Jinx basket, because it really was turning towards that, right? Like it was headed towards a situation where Jinx could completely dictate how the rest of this game was going to go. Like, yes, you have to worry about the Olaf. Yes, you have to worry about depth charge from Nautilus. But that was Top's way back in. And it's small decisions. I think that's probably something that really marks this series. Like, there are so many small choices and small, like, failures that Top ran into in several of their plays that if they just go a little bit further in the other direction, you have a very different series and very different set of games. But I think this also sets like a really interesting tone for what we're going to be seeing head forward with the draft league, because this was really exciting to watch from both teams.
Yeah, and I think it's very important to note where we are in the season, and that is we are in the preseason, especially given kind of the new, let's call it vibe of draft league. See the forefront manifesto for context. This is really the only chance these players have to play with each other and figure out, okay, well, what the heck do we do as a team? So it's all about what are the lessons we can learn and take away from this match. At the end of the day, this match doesn't actually matter going into the Swiss. It is all about building confidence and finding out how you guys work as a team. And I think the best thing that Throws a Passion can take away from this match, especially from game 2 right there, is that they really screwed up the early game. But they played well enough that it came down to a few mistakes in the late game that kept them from coming back in this one. And that is, if we can potentially get our top laner into something that's going to be a little bit safer on the top side, even just like one of those deaths if you prevent, and then one of those fights where Fafnir is either caught out or Want Marriage was caught out, if you do one of those things a little bit better, you are taking that game to the house. So, obviously, I think UwU United deserve to win here tonight. I think Widowweaver probably comes off as my MVP on the series there, just given the play. It wasn't a smash. It is winnable. It is a few tweaks away from Throws of Passion looking like a pretty solid team. So, full props to them, and we'll definitely keep an eye on what they can, evolve into going into the regular season.
Yeah, and I think just looking at it, to echo a lot of your points, there's a lot of things that I thought Top had in their favor, where I think in general they were setting up for like team fights and things a lot better. It was just so difficult for them to deal with these picks like a Gwen, like the Olaf, that just have that basically free access almost to backline, because Gwen, with her immune, she can just run past everything and can't be hit by the backline. So she can either clear the front line, and we saw her basically one-shotting a Scion and a Vi at different points in the game. Or Olaf can just press ult and ghost and run past everything right onto like the Jinx and Seraphine. So, but if there wasn't that massive lead like that UwU had been able to establish for themselves there in the top lane, the games might not have quite looked the same way. Just because I thought that top had a lot of great setup for fights and a lot of great ideas on how to approach like objectives and some of these mid to late game fights.
Yeah, and like just to look at that, a bit closer, and building upon what Stevie said about this wasn't a smash. Like, a Widow Griefer, they did tremendous work. I don't think there's anyone who watched this game, this series, and say that a Widow Griefer like didn't do great, like a great job. But then like you take a look at even just the damage numbers here in Game 3, and it's competitive all the way throughout. Like yes, the Jinx damage was like still 10k down behind the Ziggs, but you could really see it in the game itself that things were shifting. And I would say that I have really high expectations for both of these teams headed forward. Like, uh, there are obviously like glaring things that you do want to talk about in some respects, but overall, like this really could have gone the other way, and I do really appreciate
Yeah.
that. Like, like you really have to appreciate like strong competitiveness between both of these teams, especially when you consider that this is a fearless draft system, right? Like we saw 3 completely different team comps like each game, and I would say that they were all relatively executed with equal levels of skill. So,
Yeah.
for good and for bad. Like,
Yeah, I think. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, and like that's actually something that both teams should value and also have to learn from, like headed forward.
Yeah, and I think it almost turns around, and we've talked about a lot about throws of passion. I think there's plenty to talk about either way. Let's talk a little bit about UwU, as we often do on on the Risen stream. But I think we keep saying, Widow Weaver had a great game. I think, obviously, I think it was expected. Widow Weaver was a higher elo player than their opposition, and they played exactly how they should have.
Yes.
I think that top enabled that quite a bit because especially in games 2 and game 3, they just kind of kept fighting around the top laner, and it's exactly what you want when you have a fed top laner. I really want to see UwU United have that secondary fallback carry as well. I think they were a little bit lacking across the board in that department. I think Jungle, did all right. I wasn't blown away by game 2. I wasn't blown away by game 3, but it was nice and solid. But I worry what happens when UwU get against another top laner who is at par. When a great game from Widow Weaver is either going even or slightly winning their lane, I need to know that there are other threats on that team that are going to be able to fill that void. It's not. I don't think it's something they're really challenging tonight. I think, especially games 2 and game 3, UwU kind of ran away with the top side of the map, but it's certainly something that when they get up against, the cream of the crop teams going into the postseason, as long as they're making it to the postseason, that they're going to be tested in. And if they don't have an answer to that, could be problematic. But, that's the beauty of Draft League. These teams are brand new. A lot of these players haven't played with each other before, and they'll continue to evolve throughout the season. So let's see how that evolution goes.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, this was preseason, so I don't think these games really officially count towards much outside of an opportunity for teams to play, to experience the new format, and all that. So there's a lot of things for both teams, I think, to look at and look to improve if they want to go far. But this is a draft league. It is, players come here just to have fun, and we definitely had a fun match tonight. But UwU United did come out on top.
Full marks to them, yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
But I guess with that, we will go ahead and sign out. So from the entire caster crew and from our wonderful producer Ice Fireeyed, thank you so much, and hope to see you next week. Don't go anywhere.
Peace.